Hello, everybody. It's 10 o'clock. Yay. Wendy, here we are. Hi, everybody. Khone, how you doing,
Hey,
bro?
everyone.
Tepa James. What up? Bokang. Hey. Tumelo. Hi, Mbali. What's up? Hey, Sam. We are on time, comrades. That's the
The
first
wait is finally
thing.
over.
Exactly. We've made it to the 31st. It's the 31st, nah?
Yeah.
31. Oh, but July's a long month. But hi, everyone. Welcome to I Was Born to Speak on Radio. It's another exciting webinar ahead of us today, another opportunity to connect, another opportunity to be in a room with like-minded individuals, another opportunity to find people that love radio, another opportunity to just be informed, ask questions, learn, interact, engage. This is your chance. So my name is Leban Khosana. I am a student of I Was Born to Speak on Radio, and I am hosting you this morning with my lovely, lovely partner, Uwandile. We're very excited today to connect, to link up. Hey, Sam. Hey, Pumlani. Hey, Tsulu. Sipogazi. What's up, girl? Mabesh in the house. What's up? So yeah, guys, rule number one on these webinars, we want to see faces. We want to see how fly y'all are this Saturday. We want to see how you woke up like this. Let's connect. That's how we do here at Leadership 2020. Wands is going to open for us in prayer. So over to you, my brother.
Thank you so much, Levan. Thank you. I think we can just all bow our heads as we just invite God to be with us in this session. Heavenly Father, we give you the glory, the honor, and praise and adoration this morning. Firstly, Lord, we just want to thank you for life. We just want to thank you that, Lord, we are here, Lord. We just want to thank you that we woke up this morning, that we saw this day. We've so long taken that for granted, and this day, we're just showing us that, Lord, we have to take this opportunity and thank you for life, that we are in good health. We thank you for this space. We thank you for the platform. We believe that the platform is going to be a great fountain where we're just going to receive great downloads of knowledge and wisdom. For you are the one that has given us the talents, Lord, but you've given us as raw as they are, but you have placed the responsibility upon us to sharpen those talents, Father. And we believe that this space, as we've gathered today with like-minded people, Lord, is the space for us to take our talents to the next level, Lord. Our hearts are in the right place. Our minds are in the right place. And we believe that you are here with us. And we believe that we are going to learn a lot. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for the opportunity to be here, Lord. We thank you for Leadership 2020 and the work that they are doing. We pray that may they continue to reach more and more people, Heavenly Father, Lord. We thank you for the space and the time. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
In Jesus' name, amen and amen. Wandishem, you can pray, my friend. I'm feeling the spirit. I'm feeling it. Okay, yeah. So if it is your first, if it's your first time today, we are here because of Leadership 2020. Leadership 2020 is a group of just people that are ahead of their time, people that have been in the industry for many, many years, people that decided that, you know what, we need to create a platform for young, talented individuals who also want to get in the game, who also want to connect. And that is why we are all here today. Brother Nick, Smoo, Sister Penny, Wendy, the list goes on. There are people that are just hovering, who have done things before us, who really found it important to gather us here. And so we should be thankful, and we should be thankful that they've given us this opportunity. And also we should thank ourselves, because we could be anywhere in the world, but we decided to be here together this morning, which is hella important. So we're just gonna do some house rules really quickly, just so that everybody is up to speed. I did say earlier, guys, like, please turn your videos on. We want to see the smiles. We want to see the teeth, the Colgate. Like, you know, I'm seeing some Tulu's out here with the cap, looking hella fresh. What's up, girl? I see you. Tumelo, hello, brother. How you doing, Kapini? Where's all fresh? Like, let's see some more faces, guys. This is a safe space. This is a safe space. I promise. Your secrets are safe with us. So cameras on. If you want to speak, please put your virtual hand up. And if you'd like to ask a question, please type it in the chat box. I think that's where we'll know this question, it must come. It must be the one. So if you would also just keep your microphone off throughout the entire session, that would be lovely. But I do encourage you, if you want to say something, you want to ask the guest a question directly, raise your hand. If we see you, we'll definitely give you a shout and say, hey, it's your chance. But get in the chat box, get your thoughts out there. This is going to be an amazing 2 hours where we are allowed into the minds of people who ultimately inspire us. And that is why we are here. So let's not take it lightly. I hope you've got your notebooks out, your pens. Wandile, do you have your notebook and your pen, my brother?
Definitely. I'm ready.
That's what's up. That's the energy. That's dope. Also, what we're going to do today, because we have 3 amazing guests, like usually it's like 1 or 2 guys. We're so lucky. There are 3 people that we're chatting to today that we're going to learn from. We're going to get invited into their minds. So for time purposes, now we're only going to allow 2 people to ask questions directly. But if you do want to ask a question, chat box, as I said, put it in the chat box. We'll see it, we'll ask. But just for now, if you want to ask directly, only 2 people per guest. So better raise your hand real quick, make your question fire, make it hot so that we can all get involved. And yeah, so let's have fun. Let's have fun. Thank you to everybody that's still joining us. Yvonne, what's up, girl? How you doing? Alex M, welcome. Leo, welcome. Yvonne, what up? Swisiso, what up? So Nomalanga, hey, I like the hair, girl, looking good. So videos on, let's mute all the microphones unless you are speaking. Let's have fun, yo, let's have fun. That's the whole purpose of these sessions, these webinars that are proudly brought to you by Leadership 2020. If you guys don't know what Leadership 2020 is yet, right now, www.leadership2020.co.za and find out. It's a platform that will change your life. If you're here right now and you believe that you're talented and you believe that you were born to speak on radio, then go to the website, find out more information. All the answers are going to be there for you. Hey, Kifi. Cool. Hello to all the students. Hello to all the future students. You don't know it yet, but you're going to be a student of I Was Born to Speak. You don't know it, but you will be. So thank you for making the time to be with us. We appreciate it. We really do. Because again, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. So let us introduce our first guest. But before I introduce our first guest, I just want to give you like a rough summary about what we'll be speaking about today for those of you who may not know. So it's 3 different aspects of radio which are equally important. There's getting noticed on radio, which is, of course, we all ultimately want to get noticed because it's radio. We believe that we've got the voice, but there's also other things that come with that. We're competing. It's an industry that a lot of people think they're good. So we're constantly competing. So getting noticed is one of the things that we're going to touch on. We're going to be speaking to Matt L. Matt _ L. I can't just say Matt L. I feel like Mulonyana, Matt L. is going to be telling us more about getting noticed in radio, which is a super important aspect. She's currently at Metro FM. She's got 3 years on her belt as a Tax FM radio DJ, which is massive, So she's not just a somebody. Moto hectic. So it's going to be very interesting chatting to her. Another very important part of radio is what it takes to be a radio content producer, which is something that we may struggle with, and we'll see as we grow in radio. It's fine to want to be the presenter and be behind the mic, but apart from the fact that it's a lot of hard work, there's all the content that comes with it, the producing that comes with wanting to be on air. So a very, very, very vital part of radio, what it takes to be a content producer. We have Chuma. He's at Metro FM. 15 years of experience. I won't stress this enough, guys. Take out your pens and your notebooks. We are going to be blessed with a wealth of knowledge today. And our final part that we'll be discussing today is holding down commercial hit radio, which I can say is ultimately the dream for some of us. We want to get to commercial radio. Some want to end up elsewhere, but for those of us who ultimately want to get there, this is another thing that we'll be discussing today with Ayanda MVP. She's in the house as well a bit later on. So I'm excited that we've got this opportunity to unpack all these different aspects of radio and we'll kickstart with getting noticed on radio. So as I said, Matt L is in the building. She's a businesswoman. She's an event MC. She's a house DJ. She's currently at Metro. So she's just doing the things. I mean, 4 a.m. club, I mean, being able to do a 4 a.m. show or already, but that's what she's committed to, and she's holding it down. She's killing it. Fun fact, if she had a superpower, she would want to be able to read every single book in the world in one day. So this is somebody who's clearly going to drop some bars. Ntabeleng, aka Matt Al, thank you so much for joining us. We are excited to have you on this platform. We are excited to engage with you and really know more about your journey and know more about how you got to where you are today and getting noticed on radio. So first and foremost, when did you fall in love with radio?
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Debang. And of course, thank you to everybody that is here. Thank you to Leadership 2020. I hope that we can learn a lot from each other today. I fell in love with radio as a young child, actually. It's something that sparked from a point of curiosity at first. I think we used to do a lot of road trips as a family. And as a kid, I would hear music coming out, but every time there were voices coming through, I didn't understand, where are these people? And I think from then on, I just got hooked onto the magic that is the craft of radio. And radio is one of those platforms, you don't necessarily need to be on radio to fall in love with radio. So I had a very interesting career path in my life. I didn't necessarily start out in radio. I didn't necessarily study radio, but I was always in love with what radio represents, and that is connecting people, sharing stories, having moments, sharing insight. I found that a lot of my personal growth came from a lot of radio personalities, you know, whether it was them sharing light on certain situations in their life, inspiring us. So radio for me has always been a big part of my life, throughout my life, really.
Well, that is amazing, Ntabeleng. Now we just want to get to know who is Ntabeleng and why do you do what you do?
Okay, Ntabeleng is a young, talented, strong, ambitious, fearless, courageous young woman. But it didn't always start like that. I started off as a very shy young girl in primary school, athletic. I thought that's what I was going to do. I wanted to be an athlete in my life, but that didn't work out. And then I went on into high school, into varsity, and I graduated with a BCom in economics. I worked as a junior analyst for quite a number of years, but I just found that it didn't spark my light. So what I ended up doing was, this was way after having graduated already, having already left the radio space, I went back to Tax FM. And I think this is one thing a lot of people don't do in their life. If an opportunity passes you at one point, do you think like it's already too late? I was 26 years old when I officially started my radio journey. I had no experience, no background knowledge really from an academic standpoint, but I knew that in order for me to be taken seriously, I needed to learn the craft of radio. Radio is not something that you just get there, switch on the mic, say what you feel like saying. No, there's an art and there's a craft to radio. So put my pride aside, I went to Tax FM, I spoke to them and I said, listen, it's been years since I've left varsity, but there's something that's keeping me up at night. You know, and that's when you know that you're born to speak on radio or when you're called for radio. It's something that keeps you up. It's this feeling in your spirit and in your heart that I really want to do this thing. So yeah, went to Tax FM. Long story short, they gave me an opportunity. Like everybody else, started on graveyard shift. So basically now I was doing two jobs. I was working a 9 to 5, and then in the evenings I was doing radio. So it was a bit of a struggle. It was a challenge. Obviously, my boss not understanding why I'm tired half the time. And then one day I just realized something, that it didn't matter how tired I was when I got into the studio, because it would be a long day of work. But come 10 o'clock, when I switch that mic on and I start engaging, start connecting, when I'm leaving there at 1 a.m. or back when I started, it was 3 a.m. or 5 a.m., I always felt alive. I felt energized. And that's where I knew that something wasn't adding up. My 9 to 5 that I'm spending all day at is leaving me depleted. And regardless of how depleted I am, when I come out of the studio, I felt alive. So that's basically how I then made a very big and bold decision to quit my official employment and embark on something that I hoped would be fruitful, giving all of me to the craft of radio. I literally timed myself. I said, listen, I have 2-3 years to make this thing work, because also time was not on my side. And I think, yeah, with that mindset, going into it with that mindset, I learned a lot in a very short space of time. And today I'm blessed to be on a platform like Metro FM.
Very cool. I like that you specifically mentioned that a lot of people don't go back. When it's a calling, guys. You can't ignore all your life. You must keep answering. It will keep ringing. So I like that you went back and you still went for it. I think that's really dope, because a lot of people, a part of their journey, once they get in and they just kind of halt, it ends there. So tell us more about your journey, Ntabeleng, with regards to some of the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows, because from the outside, it looks sparkly. It looks so good. It looks like it's all, roses and petals and, but you know. So tell us more about your journey in radio and some of the things that you've experienced.
Okay, so yes, I love the fact that you mentioned that it's not as picture perfect as we make it out to be. But if you continuously hold on to your anchor and you remember why you're doing radio, first and foremost, then the ups and the downs become easier to basically, surf those waves. If I can touch on some of the low moments that I've had, first of all, starting off as a 26-year-old on a campus radio station, where at that time and in that year specifically, the intake, the youngest was 16 years old. It was a huge, almost culture shock mindset, having to adjust to the fact that, okay, I'm that awkward, 26-year-old in a class where there's 16, 17-year-olds, but somehow we're all speaking to the same listener. So I had to also learn how to still connect to a listener who was probably, 10 years younger than me and, 10 years above me. You always need to also remember the epicenter of your listener, first of all. Part of those low moments also included times where, okay, it sounds like a low moment, but in hindsight, it was perfect grooming. I had moments where I had now progressed. Like I said, I started off in graveyard, and then from graveyard, I moved into the night slot. From the night slot, I got the opportunity to then host daytime and drive. When I got to drive, it's almost like, people feel like, yeah, I've made it, but I never let that get into my head. And why I say that is because I had moments where I'd be hosting a drive show by myself, alone. And if you think of the structure of a drive show, it has traffic, it has news, it has sport, it has entertainment, it has music, it has interviews. There's so many elements to it. And I had a choice to basically run the show like I'm solo, I'm by myself, it's a nighttime show, or going back to the why. Why am I doing radio? For my listener. What does a listener expect when they're on the road during those hours of drive? They want to hear traffic. They want to know what's happening on the news. So those moments felt like low moments because I ended up doing an entire drive show as though I had a team with me, but I didn't. It was painful, it was hard, it was tough, but at the end of the day, it also helped me to prepare myself for any opportunity that presented itself. So literally, I would be doing an opening link at 10 past, quarter past, it would be news highlights, half past, it's sports, in between, I'm doing a link, in between, I'm interviewing someone. It felt so crazy, so chaotic, so stressful as well sometimes. But at the end of the day, when it came to, for example, radio awards, I was able to submit to all those categories. I could submit for traffic. I could submit for news. I could submit for presenting. So even if there was, for example, I know that year specifically, 5 had an opportunity for a traffic presenter, I could submit a demo for traffic. I could submit a demo for presenting. Always take every learning opportunity for everything that it presents. Yes, you might want to be a presenter, but that might not be your entry into the door. So that for me was a key point. It was a low point, but in hindsight, it put me in a good space. Also learning to produce. I would chop my own demos. I would sleep at 4 a.m. I would literally rip my audio after a show, play it back. There's so much behind this, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes in order to sharpen yourself as a broadcaster that people don't see, you know? Another low moment was when I finally got the big opportunity to, how can I put it? I didn't get the first offer from Metro. The first offer I actually got was from Smile FM. But at the time in my life, I had quit my job, remember? I had withdrawn all my savings, all my investments, whatever I had to stay stable. And at the time that I got the opportunity for Smile FM, which is based in Cape Town, I didn't have the money to go. I couldn't go, basically. And for me, it was a very painful moment in my life because I was like, Lord, here's the thing I've been praying for. Here's the opportunity for me to finally, you know, transition between campus and a regional station. Because normally that's the journey you take. You go from campus into regional, from regional into, you know, after regional for a couple of years, you know, national for a couple of years. Then you get to Metro FM. Looking back now, I'm truly grateful that I didn't make it to Smile FM, because funny thing is that the week that I would have been starting my first show in Smile FM is actually the week I got the call from Metro FM. But the biggest low moment I can definitely say I had is I'm not gonna lie, I was relentless. I wanted this thing badly. I was reaching out to people, other personalities, asking to shadow them. I got opportunities, AB DaCosta at Power FM, Ayanda MVP herself from 947 also let me come and shadow her. Tando, she was doing the drive on 5FM at the time, her and MCZ let me come there as well. Marian at Metro FM. There was a day I was supposed to shadow Sabi at YFM and I got kicked out. Basically, it was a matter of, no, who's this girl? Why are you here? Go. And that was a very hard moment for me because it's like, I just want to learn. I just wanted to get a bit more. But hey, got kicked out of the studio. It wasn't Sabi. And I realized that not everybody in life is gonna see the dream and the vision that you see for yourself. And even though all those doors were shutting in front of me, sending demo after demo, month after month, week after week, everybody had said no. The only people that I hadn't received a response from as yet was Metro FM. And like I say, the week that I should have been in Cape Town was the week that I then ended up being present still in GP, which then availed me for that meeting with Metro FM. And I think from then on, everything was just a high moment. 2020 for me was a year of many firsts. The first time on commercial radio, the first time having to present on SABC1. We had a show, the Get Together Experience. The first time DJing live on radio. The first time, you know, DJing live on TV. From then on being channeled. It was just so many things. And that's the beauty about life. When you get that one foot in the door, it's like it can open up so many other doors, but you need to be ready for that moment. Yeah, so those are some of my highs and my lows, definitely.
Wow, what an interesting journey. I think there's just so much, you know, to learn from your story, you know, for the rest of us as radio enthusiasts. And I just guess, as you said, that the ups and downs are part of the game. And it's just so important at the end of the day to just hold on to that why, because when you go through the lows, it's definitely what's just going to pick you up, and you're just going to keep going. And I guess you are where you are because you held on to the why that you had when you started in the game. Now, I think we just have this burning question as radio enthusiasts. How did you get noticed in the radio business? How did you do it?
Okay, so let's start with the fact that, like I mentioned, I was doing traffic, I was doing news, I was doing sport, I was doing like the actual presenting side of things. Being able to do all of those, first of all, afforded me the opportunity to be able to submit. When it came to the radio awards, I could submit for all those categories, and then I ended up being nominated in 3. It was for news presenter, it was for presenting the show. What was the third one? I forgot, there was a third one. But in spaces like that, you must understand that judges are people who are in radio management already. It's your station managers, your program managers. And I knew that there's going to be times where I'm sending demo after demo and no one is going to open that email. But I knew where I will find them for sure. In the radio awards, they will all be there for one. So I definitely used that as an opportunity to market myself. So when I was actually submitting for the awards, I was actually trying to submit demos, to be quite honest, so that those program managers that hadn't seen me or heard of me, even though I had emailed me, would actually get an opportunity to hear me in that space. Other things I did was, like I said, I would literally go to the station and I would say, can I please speak to the program manager, and then get kicked out. Or there was one week, I remember I went to the SABC every single day asking, can I please see Tony? The security guard knew me already. We're good friends now. But there was a week I drove to the SABC every single day. Please, can I see Tony? Okay, if he's not here, can I please speak to Sia? Like, I find out who's who are decision makers in different spaces, and do whatever it needs to take for you to get. I think a lot of people, we have this thing of, oh, but what if they think I was like, as long as security hasn't physically thrown me out the building, I will do whatever it takes to get noticed. I would drive to 947 and ask to see Grant Nash. I was that girl, but it's because I knew that I really wanted this. So that was 2 ways in which I did it. I would either physically drive myself there, try get a meeting. It's not always, you don't always win, but there's that curiosity of, who is this girl? Why does she keep coming? Then other things, talent is one thing, and talent can only get you so far. Branding is also another thing. I worked on my brand. I got a graphic designer. I designed my bio. You know, I stopped this 3-5 page thing, made it 2 clean pages, concise who I am, what I do, what I want to do for you as a station, right? Positioned it like that, sent it out, because also if they do open up your email and your demo, you're not there to present yourself, to present your case. So whatever you're sending needs to speak for you and on your behalf. So I knew that if I want to be taken seriously, I need to take myself seriously. So that was another key thing. I knew that I'm already, you know, if I want to come into a space where there's already people whose brands are so big and whose brands are so prominent, then I also need to catch the eye of whoever it is that could potentially open that email. Also, social media is also very important. Again, that's something else that represents you. When somebody maybe goes onto your page, can they automatically tell from the jump you're a broadcaster or you're a DJ or you're this? Your page always needs to speak to and be aligned to who you are, you know, so that, again, because what I found out in the backstory of, you know, when Metro FM discovered me eventually, they also did research on me. So Google yourself. When you Google yourself now, what appears? What does it say about you? You need to be strategic in things like that, so that when people are looking you up, what is the first thing that they find? Is it a profile? Is it a website? So I did that. I did a website, did a bio, because I understood that these things speak to you in spaces that you cannot enter. And even if there was a potential of, you know, a prospect of opportunity in some sense, they will look you up. They will want to see who is this person. So that is very, very, very important. And lastly, what I did to get myself noticed, again, like I said, upskilling yourself. I learned how to produce. And when I say produce, I mean, not like, I don't know how to technically run a show, but I learned how to be able to retrieve my own audio so that when I'm driving home or, have a moment of opportunity, listen back to your show, ask yourself, how could I have done that show better? How could I have done that link better? And with that, being able to retrieve my audio, I was able to create my own demos and select the parts of me that I really wanted a program manager or a station manager, whoever was listening to the demo, I wanted them to capture an essence of me that I knew that if I just asked someone else, hi, please, can you just make a demo for me? Okay, they'll do it. And then what if you're not happy with it? So sometimes be present, like in every part of what you do. Because even now I'm on a show at Metro FM. I don't have a content producer. I don't have a technical producer. But because I learned those things already on campus radio at Tax FM, I am now able, again, to listen back to my show, there is one technical producer that helps us with promos, send him the best moments, specific times. TD, please take these bits and pieces. Why? Because I want to be happy with the product at the end of the day. You need to take pride in what you do. Excellence always needs to be your brand. And again, at the end of the day, when you remember why you're doing radio, because for me, there's a difference between passion and purpose. I DJ because it's a passion. I love music. I put songs together that make me happy, and those that vibe will vibe. But when it comes to radio is a purpose. It's something that you do. It's a selfless game. And you'll start to notice that when you put the listener first in all that you do, it just becomes so much easier to put your best foot forward always, at all times. So there was a lot of things that I did, really, like I knock on doors, send out demos, let your brand speak for you constantly, whether it's through a website, a bio, everything about you must always represent you. Because when you come to commercial radio, you almost need to be a final product. There isn't much space always for grooming and you need to come there, not so that the program manager can help you, but your pitch needs to be, I want to make your brand better. I have the talent that I believe will XYZ for Metro FM, YFM, any radio station that you're wanting to approach. It shouldn't be about what you will gain from the station. It's what are you bringing to the station. Yeah.
Sure, guys, literally no more 5-page bios up in here. Go get yourself a website up in here. Like, it's that time. I think that's a very important thing that you mentioned, Tabeleng, about already kind of believing that you are there, so that when you get there, you don't need to then, have to repair. So if you start now and take yourself that seriously now, by the time you get to commercial level, you're a full package, you're done. You don't then need to start from scratch. So that's dope advice. Very, very happy that you shared that. What can you share with everyone here on the call, as fellow radio enthusiasts, about, future prosperity, about, really how you did it and how you really got your head into it because you gunned for it. What can you share with us in terms of keeping that same fire alive?
Radio is very simple. Again, it links to why. The listener is the why of everything that we do. And that's not dependent on platform, station, time slot. The listener is always at the center of everything that you do. And it's also important to, like I say, study the game, study the people that inspire you. For me to, reach out to AB Da Costa and to Ayanda MVP and Tando Tabudi asking me to shadow them, it was because I would study them. I would look at how they're doing radio, listen to their shows, how they're executing links, how they're carrying their brand, not just, like I said, on air, but off air. Because also radio is not, it's not a 3 to 6, 4 to 5 thing. It's a continuous game. Like one thing I've learned even now with the 4 a.m. club, we still check up on each other sometimes during the week. This past week, we had a 48-hour countdown to the show. Why? Because we've created this culture. And when you learn why we do radio, to connect with people, then you realize that that connection isn't just isolated to your platform and to your time slot. So it's very important to, you know, continuously do that. Another thing is show up as your best self, like I said, and to be your best self sometimes it takes preparation. Don't just get to a show thinking, oh, I'm going to talk about this. No, why are you talking about it? Actually, why would the listener want to talk to you about this? You know, another thing that's important is we forget what makes radio. Radio is about storytelling. What connects people is stories. And the minute you go on air and you're like, you tune into the 4 a.m. club, it's 10:30. Today, I want to ask you, why do you like yellow flowers? How? What happened to the story? You're asking me a question, but yet you didn't answer the question yourself. You know, it's like sometimes we expect a listener to be very vulnerable with us, chat to us, but are we chatting to the listener ourselves? So don't forget the story element part, because one thing about radio for me is that it's a lot of music, yes, but the magic is the moments between the music. What are you saying in those moments? Why should anybody, why should you actually stop this song right now? What do you want to say? What do you want to say that is going to resonate and connect with the listener? Those are the moments that you should be focused on, and everything else really falls into place. But again, why are you doing radio? To connect with people. What connects people? Stories. So when you do a link, be creative in it. Think about the story. Oh my goodness, yesterday I got a delivery from someone that I didn't expect to get a delivery from. The last time I got a delivery from this person was like in 2018. Ha, jiggy, jiggy, here's yellow flowers. Do you see how it's like the same thing, but presented differently? So always guard that, because that's what makes a listener comfortable and receptive to you. You tell a story, they laugh, you're trying to evoke an emotion. And that's another thing with radio. We forget the basics. What is the academic purpose of radio? It's either to inform a listener, to educate a listener, or to entertain. You can't do all three of them in one link. You need to decide, is this link an informative link? Is this link an educational link? Or is this link to entertain my listener? Keep it short, straight to the point. Once you start with those basic elements, why am I doing this link? Okay, I'm informing them. Then it's easy, back announce. And again, the important elements, time check, station check, you know, those things are always, who are you? Who are they listening to? And then again, okay, is this link to inform? Then inform them, be out. Okay, is this link to entertain? All right, let me tell my story. Now we can laugh. Okay, what is this link to do? Okay, we're opening up the phone lines. What do I need to say to get them to engage? The thing that I have found is the magic, because I'm on a show where it's 4 a.m. in the morning. Most people are sleeping. I've had people say they set alarms now to listen to the show. Why? Because we come together, we share stories, we laugh with each other. Today we spoke about something so basic, like, what was that one subject that you just didn't like at school? And what was the story? Yesterday I was cleaning up my closets, and I happened to come across my matric certificate, and I was like, oh my gosh, matric, yo, I killed math, yo, I did great in yo, metaphysics, ish. You understand? So again, it's just find ways to present a link in a way that the listener will want to interact with you. And another thing, don't use social media as content. By the time it's on social media, they already know the story. Unless, you know, you want to touch on it for a certain reason, use social media to engage with your audience. But take the time, and I'm happy that Chuma is here because he's going to chat to you about content. Take the time to work on your content, because really that is the magic to you being able to connect with a listener, because that's why we do radio, to connect.
Bars, the bars, girl, the bars. Love that. Connects, that's why we do radio. Now we know that Ntabeleng killed mats. That's why we do radio. Now that we know Ntabeleng likes yellow flowers, that's why we do radio. I love it, dude. I love it. Guys, we've got 9 more minutes with Ntabeleng. It's our chance to really get to know her, to ask the questions, to engage. I will start with Nomalanga S. She's saying, girl, I'm loving your energy, knowing your why and having spoken on starting at 26. Is there an age limit to get into broadcasting?
I don't think so. To be very honest with you, I don't believe that it's ever too late to do anything. The only thing that could potentially limit you is the pool of stations that you'd appeal to. So if you start radio at, let's say, the age of 30 or 35, then it's not likely that you can work on YFM, if that makes sense. So again, I don't believe that it's ever too late to do anything, but it's just then realizing, okay, in the position that I'm in right now, and this was also the decision I had to make, because now I had started at 26, 27, 28 was clocking, 29 around the corner. And I knew, that's why I was also fighting so hard to get my foot in the door before, 29 lapsed, because of the stations that I wanted to potentially be talent to. And if I look at a place like Metro FM, the epicenter of our listener is a 30-year-old female, so I am her.
Here for it. Brother Khone, I see you've got a question, but Kikopa, Ubute, I will see to her face. I'm not going to read it out because you're one of us. You're a student of I Was Born to Speak on Radio. And you know how we do when we ask questions, we need to do radio. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Thank you, Levang. Good morning, everyone. It is the most relevant radio training in the African continent. I am Khane. You are watching I Was Born to Speak on Radio. And we are graced with the presence of Ntabeleng Matela and Mr. Chuma Kave. Thank you very much. I have been truly inspired by you, Sis Ntabeleng. I really appreciate the wealth of knowledge that you have shared with us. My question is very simple. You said when you started off, you were shy. How did you overcome the shyness? And what really informed the confidence that I see now, because you are an epitome of confidence? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the question, and thank you for the compliment. To be very honest with you, I still have my very, very, very shy moments. Like I was actually doing something this past week and I was saying to someone, oh, I'm so nervous. And they said, you nervous, really? Like, people forget that we're still human at the end of the day. I'm still human. I do still get very, very nervous. I do have moments of being really shy, but the craft of radio and why I love it so much, it grooms you, Also, when you're in studio, you're really by yourself and you're speaking to one person. And I forgot to mention, that's very important. Lingo on air. Guys, how are you guys? No, you're speaking to one person. How are you? How was your day today? Make that one person feel special. And I think in your mind, when you think of it like that, and for me, to this day, I still forget that I'm on national radio, to be honest to you. Why? Because I'm not speaking to millions of people in my head. I'm still speaking to one person. So you need to find that one person that you are comfortable engaging with and speaking to. When I started radio, and I still do it sometimes to this day, I have a picture of someone here in front of me. That's also why a lot of I don't always get to go live on my show. And the reason is because I still have those shy days. And then I need a picture of my friend and I put her right there and I have a conversation with her the whole show. So that I never feel like I'm speaking to an audience of people. No, I'll only remember afterwards when I bump into people, like, yo, I like that topic. I'm like, oh yeah, you kind of Cape Town, you're also listening. You get what I mean? You must never think of it like that. Think of it as you having a one-on-one with someone, and let that someone be in your mind. Let it be someone you're already comfortable speaking to. And when you mic on, you're still having a conversation with that person. And you'll see how you just flow naturally. But like, again, it's a craft, you know, you never perfect radio. We're learning constantly. And even with things like public speaking and all, it's also important to get training. I've gone for training, you know, to do public speaking, to, what was the other one I did? Sorry, it was for emceeing. I took classes. Invest in yourself. If you want to get better in anything that you do, that thing starts with you first investing in yourself. So if you feel that I'm still, you know, I want to touch up, brush up, then save up, do a course, do a class. The learning never stops. It never stops.
Cool. Because of time, guys, I'm just going to take one question from the comments. I think it's something that will be of value to everyone that is in this room, all of us here, all 44 of us that are here today. This question is from Patudi Mudiba Are. Did you have a maximum number of demos that you sent per station? And with that, would you advise someone to send one demo or as many as they want? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because you said you cocotaed everywhere. And yeah. Can you imagine how annoying that is? There's that girl again. Oh no, she's emailing me. So these are humans that we're dealing with at the end of the day. You don't want to come off as like, you know, too much, because sometimes it can be like you're doing too much. Sometimes you get kicked out of the studio, you're doing too much. You know what I mean? So this question, I also want to know. So yeah, tell us, gal.
Hey, maximum amount of demos. I feel like that's me asking myself, do I have a maximum amount of chances? I take every chance. That's who Matt L is. I didn't have a maximum. Let me tell you how I started. When I felt I was seasoned, and that's also another thing. Don't rush to send demos when you yourself are not convinced this is the show that I want to send. Don't do that, because now first impressions always last as well. Also remember with a demo, let me just add this, the first 8 seconds of your demo are everything. You've either got them or you've lost them. So sometimes people will send a demo of 10 minutes. 10 minutes. You want to play the whole song and then back announce, Haibo. These people are busy. There's no time. So literally that demo should be 3 seconds of the tail end of the song. The next, it's you back announcing that song. They need to hear you in those first 8 seconds, and that is the magic moment. Fine. Once you have gotten the audio, and this is why I also say it's important to listen back to your shows. Not every show is a demo show. We're also human, yes. So not every show is the best show. We also have days where we're like, could have said that link better. Okay, then in the next show, say that link better. You know, get better and better and better. And then when you are sure and you're confident, you're like, this show is the one. Take that audio, compress it into 3-5 minutes max, but 3-minute demos are key, are perfect actually. Then with that demo, send it out. So what I did, I started by sending out a demo every, because also depending on your timeline, I started off on every 2-month thing. And this was like now I was 18 months into radio, but I knew those last 6 months, I'm going to, I'm gonna throw, right? So I started going from every second month, okay, no response, every month, no response. Every second week, eventually somebody might respond to you. And with me, they all responded to me. Y responded, 947 responded, Jacaranda responded, Smile FM, they all came back. Okay, Smile FM said yes, but they all came back East Coast. Listen, and also be open to moving. If you get an opportunity in Durban or in Cape Town, grab with both hands. So I was sending a demo literally every single month, but the demo I was sending was the best show I felt I had that month. So also be strategic. It doesn't help to send 10 demos, but they were so lukewarm. But that one show that this was the one, then also you could potentially send that same show 2 or 3 times, maybe in case they didn't catch it. You don't want to spam people as well, because possibly they could block you or throw you to the spam folder. But be strategic in what you're sending. That's the most important part. Not so much the frequency, but the quality of the audio you're sending should be the focal point. And if you feel, okay, this is the one, send it as often as what would make you happy. And yes, you're human as well. So also think, if I got an email from this person every day, yes, obviously, no, they're not going to be happy with your approach. So just also play it by the ballpark. Okay, I sent a demo last month, they didn't respond. Okay, let me send one again next month. But for me, because like I said, I was on a timeline for myself and my life. 29 was here and I wanted to get my foot in the door before. So hence I was just going at it as hard as I did so that I could land it just in time, and it worked out for me. But also our stories are not going to be the same as people. We don't all get discovered the same way as well. For some people, you didn't even send a demo. Someone was listening to you and they heard you on air. For somebody else, it could be the radio awards like it was for me. I was fortunate that my program manager at Metro FM was listening or judging my category for Drive Presenter. And that's how he heard me. So by the time my name was shown, I was like, oh no, man, this name is familiar. Oh, this is the girl that's been emailing me. By that time, they had never even listened to my demos. But now, because again, I had created that opportunity at the Radio Awards by submitting audio there, I knew they would listen. So do that as well. Submit for awards because the people that matter are in the room. Cool.
Gems after gems after gems. Nthabeleng, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us this morning. You were lovely. You were honest. You spoke your truth. Guys, I hope you are taking notes. Because this is just information that generally we wouldn't be privy to. So shout out to you, Nthabeleng. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you to Leadership 2020 for making this possible. I can't stress it enough. We're here because of them. And you are here because of yourself, because you clearly believe in yourself. If you believe you're born to speak on radio, then you're in the right place at the right time. All 49 of us in the building, shout out to you. Thank you for being here. And Nthabeleng, we appreciate you, babes.
Thank you.
Matt_L across all social medias. Follow the girl. You know all about her journey now, so continue to support her. And let's continue to be inspired. I think everybody definitely took some little gems nyana here and there because you're dropping bars, and we appreciate you for that. Shout out to you. So thank you, Nthabeleng, for being with us. We are now about to get into another conversation. The second part of this entire webinar is all about radio production. I'm going to hand over to my brother, Wandile. Wandile is going to introduce us to our next guest, of whom I am excited to know more about. A very exciting journey that he's had in radio. So if you've just joined us right now, please utume camera. We'd like to see your face. We'd like to see your smile, and just mute yourself. If you want to chat, that's what the chat box is for. This is Leadership 2020, and I'm Lebang Kosana. And over to my brother Wandile.
Nthabeleng, it is exactly 5 minutes before 11. And this is still I Was Born to Speak on Radio, the best radio training program in the land. What a session with Ntabeleng. Now, I'm just so excited about our next session and about our guest, actually. If you are actually haven't been taking notes, guys, what have you been doing? Get your pen and paper ready. Now, our next guest is a writer, an entrepreneur, and a former radio lecturer. He is currently the senior producer at the commercial radio game at Metro FM. And he actually started his journey as an intern there at Metro and just worked his way up. And he's also worked for radio stations like Radio 2000 and SAFM. Now, I have to stress this, guys, with over 15 years experience in radio content business, Chuma is responsible for 3 different shows, including business, current affairs, entertainment, and gospel. And we just have the honor of sitting with him today and just getting those gems of wisdom. Chuma, welcome to I Was Born to Speak on Radio.
Thank you very much, my brother. I'm not sure if I can promise the wisdom part, but yeah, I can talk about the journey part.
We're so excited. We've been looking forward to this. Thank you so much, really, for taking your time out of your busy schedule. You could have been somewhere else, but you just decided to join us today.
Yeah, but it's going to be difficult after that Met L. Those bombs, that was crazy. Can I come back next week? I mean, that girl was just amazing.
We have to do it now. We have to do it now. Now, let's just get straight to it. You started your journey as an intern at the SABC, and today you are producing 3 different shows on Metro FM. How did this come about?
Well, I started at Metro FM when I was very young, in my early 20s. As you said, as an intern. Matter of fact, I'm with Metro FM now for the 3rd time, meaning like I started there, I left, and then I went back, I left, and then I came back again. So how it started with Metro FM is, it's a bit of a long story, but I'm gonna make it short for you. So I finished my education, my 3rd year when I was 20, and I come from the Eastern Cape. So I came to Joburg and I worked for ABSA and other places. But I've always had this love for radio because I grew up in the villages, and where I grew up, I used to listen to Metro FM a lot because my mother said, because I grew up in the villages and I went to school in the villages. So my mother used to say, we need to listen to English speaking radio stations so that we can learn English. So for me, I was lucky enough to have Metro FM playing in my village. So I grew up listening to Metro and getting fascinated by it. Because to me, those people sounded very different from where I was. They sounded, everything about them was just different because I'm just a village boy. So when I came to Joburg and after my tertiary, I worked in these places here and there, whatever it is. But I've always had this love for radio, that I love to work for a radio station. And I love to work for the radio station that I grew up listening to and loving, which is Metro FM. So what I did was, but at that time, my interest was being the presenter to speak. So I started that thing of submitting demos, and I realized, somebody said this to me, that maybe you should start by being a content producer. You come inside by doing content, because when you submit demos, I mean, it's work. You know what I mean? You can submit demos for 5 years and you get nothing. So I started, what I did was, way back, DJ Fresh
Did you check under the bed?
Oh. Can you hear me?
Yes. Everybody, please go by muting the microphone. No?
Okay. So way back, DJ Fresh used to have a show, AYFM, with Tad. And I took that decision at that time that, listen, let me study this content production thing, because also I didn't go to school for it. I studied marketing. So I started listening to DJ Fresh's breakfast show, but not listening to enjoy it, just listening to study it. How many songs do they play in an hour? What do they normally talk about? How do they come up with those ideas? The kinds of topics they do. And I listened, it used to be a 4-hour breakfast show. So I used to listen, taking down notes. And I also noticed that DJ Fresh has these topics and quizzes and whatever. So I started writing him emails to say, can I contribute to your quiz? These are my suggestions. Or can I contribute to your topics? These are my suggestions. And he started using them on air, and he would say something on air like, thanks to Chuma for that submission. So one day I'm listening, one day I'm reading a newspaper, it's the Sunday World, and I'm reading that Glenn Lewis is moving from from a morning show to do the afternoon drive at Metro FM. So what I did was, because I've been studying how radio is, how content production works, how people come up with features on my own, and sometimes I'll just Google and stuff like that. So I decided then that, you know what, let me do this. Let me create a show for Glenn Lewis from 3 to 6 p.m. and write down all the features. But okay, at 10 past 2, this is what you do. At 20 past, this is what you do. At whatever it is. And at that time, I was renting a room, a Yeovil. This is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do. So I drafted that show from 3 to 6, and I went to the SABC. And if you go to the SABC, you will see that there is a SABC Metro FM studios at the reception at the foyer. So you sit there, you stand there and wait. People still do it to this day. You stand there, you wait for the presenter. So I went there, I saw Glenn Lewis, I spoke to him, I gave him my ideas because I typed them and printed them with my phone number. And I said to him, listen, I love to be a producer. I believe that I can produce a show. He took them and he said something very powerful that I never forgot, that I still have it to this day. He said to me, I already have a producer, but if your ideas are good, you can never be ignored. So he took my stuff, and then 2 or 3 months down the line, he called me back. He said, no, there's nothing much I can do, but when I just come to the studio, hang out with us, see what's happening. So I started going to Glenn Lewis's show, and I became an assistant producer, unofficially, meaning I was not hired by Metro FM. It was Glenn Lewis who said, come to the show every day, see what you do. So I was unpaid. I used to come there, hang out there, assist the producer. I did that thing from July of that year up until March the following year without being paid. But what the station did, even though it was unofficial, the Metro FM did notice that there is this guy who comes here. So Metro FM contract start on the 1st of April. So what Metro FM did, they took me from being that unpaid assistant producer, and they gave me a breakfast show to produce a breakfast show. I was still in my early 20s. So I started producing for Azania way back. And that's how it started. And this is where I am today. So if you, and by the way, my story is not unique when it comes to Metro FM people, because you notice that it's not really that easy to crack Metro FM. And I guess it's the same thing with 5. It's like this. And for you to really crack the station, you have to be special in a way. You have to really want it. I mean, if you listen to Matt L's story, it's someone who really wanted it. You really have to want it. You really have to truly believe in yourself that you can do the job. Sometimes when you meet people who come around, just want to ask questions, they will say things like, for example, I grew up listening to radio, I love radio. But to find that the person can't produce, because the station wants to know, can you produce? Because the station won't teach you how to produce. The station won't teach you how to do your job. You just have to know your job. And those things are very important, that you have to learn sometimes on your own. If you work for a community station, you have to put the work. If you work for a campus station, you have to put in the work, because it's a very tough process just to come inside. So that's my journey. I started like that, and I've worked with different presenters. I worked with Azania. I produced for Penny Lebiane. I produced for Just Ice, a Radio 2000. I produced for Geico NS Pillay, a Radio 2000. I produced for KG Gates, a Radio 2000. I produced for Tabiso Dima, who is now with Power FM, at Radio 2000. I produced for Tami Ngubeni, who is with Newsroom Africa, at 2000 when she was doing the current affairs show. And then I went back to Metro FM and I took over the breakfast show that was produced by Nick from Leadership 2020. That is Glenn Lewis and Unati. After Glenn Lewis and Unati, I produced for More Flavor and Masi Chaba. After More Flavor and Masi Chaba, I went to SAFM because I wanted to learn a bit of. I also took a decision to be a bit versatile in terms of my production style as a content producer, that I don't only produce, for example, let's say entertainment. I'm able to produce everything from entertainment, music, current affairs, business, whatever it is. So I took that decision that let me go to a station that is 100% talk, where you just deal with current affairs. So I went to SAFM for a year. And then I came back to Metro FM. When I came back to Metro FM, I was offered 3 different shows. I produced the current affairs show in the evening. It's done by Gako Ayabonga Tawe. I do a Saturday breakfast show. It just wrapped up now at 9. And I do a gospel show on Sunday. So I work 6 days a week. That is me. So I can produce all types of content, just sports only. Sports is the only thing I can't do, simply because when it comes to sports, I just know soccer. But the rest I can do.
Chuma, I'm actually getting like shivers up my spine listening to your story, especially the part where you sat and taught yourself. This is the clock, this is the show, this is that. We live in a time where, and I'm glad that you mentioned that it was at the start of your journey, you were still young. I feel like a lot of the youngsters today, not that they feel entitled to stuff, but when they knock on doors and they hear no, they sort of just give up and just let it go. You took that upon yourself and said, actually, this is where I fit in and this is what I feel like I can do. And if anything, that should be the biggest takeaway, especially for the younger people that are listening, which is, if you know that this is where you want to be, keep knocking, keep going in, teach yourself. You don't always need to, go to school or whatever the case is. Just do you. And I'm sorry, I'm just like really, really inspired. This is quite hectic. Sure. So you already told us a lot about yourself, a lot about your journey and your versatility, which is awesome. But I think also it's interesting, we'd like to know rather more about Chuma, the businessman, the writer, the other aspects of your life. It's very clear that the passion is in the radio, and it's in the content production, and it's in making great radio. But tell us more about the other side of Chuma.
Well, the other side is not really, okay, fine. I used to love writing, and I used to write way back, and I used to publish sometimes with News 24. But my writing has just gone down to a point that I'm not comfortable at the moment to call myself a writer. So I just need to go back there and, find myself in that space, because I always believe that actually my next journey will be in writing and maybe speaking, just in teaching in general. But we're not always perfect. We don't always know the answers, but the most important thing is to keep walking. And I truly believe that I'm going to find myself there in that writing space, or even the teaching space in general. And the business person, when it comes to business, I run a marketing company, and I'm one of those people now who's always listening to DJ Sbu in terms of that hustling thing, because we are hustling, we're always trying to get clients. I run a PR. How I end up running a PR company, by the way, is also based on my job, because when you're a producer, you get PR requests all the time, and people, asking you for interviews, asking for interviews. And at some point in my life, I realized, but I can do the same thing. You know what I mean? I see how they write these press statements. I see what they do and they call me all the time. And I'm like, but I can do that too. So I started putting it together. I mean, I've been doing my PR company, not really the most successful, but it's getting there. I've been doing it for the past couple of years. But at the moment, I'm just trying to, more than anything, to upscale my business to run a very respectable, big marketing company. That's where I'm at the moment. But, you know, they always talk about the dots connecting. All the stuff that I do is always linked to my job, because the marketing and PR, I was influenced by the work I do. Some of the clients that I've worked with, I also do media training. Some of the people I've worked with, I've met them through my job. You see what I mean? So my job always gives me all these opportunities to meet different people. When I meet people, to say, hey, can we assist you? Can I do this for you? So I'm grateful for that when it comes to my job, because as a content producer, actually, you can be even more powerful than the presenter in terms of contacts, in terms of knowing people, in terms of you know, just networking with people. Because the presenter doesn't really, if I have to call a certain minister or I have to call a certain businessman, I'm the one who's communicating with that person, not the presenter. So sometimes you end up building relationships with those people. So you have to ask yourself, what do you do with those relationships that you have with those people who sometimes call you, you call them. As long as you don't do corruption, as long as you don't do fraud, that's the most important thing. And corruption means I can't put you on air simply because you're my friend, or I can't put you on air simply because maybe you paid me money to say. The reason I'm still here actually 15 years later is simply because there's no one who can go around who can say I paid Chuma 10,000 rand and I was featured on Metro FM, because I can't do that.
Well, Chuma, I think it's very interesting that, you know, what you've just mentioned is that all that you do at the end of the day helps you to actually, you know, create networks. And I guess that you know, it helps you, you know, in doing the job that you do as a producer, just making sure that you are, you know, you're connected with people and all of that. But what we really want to understand right now is that what is the purpose behind your work? What drives you?
Yeah, that question, I'm not sure if I know that. Personally, I'm driven by the idea that I have what it takes as a person to be the best in whatever I do. That's why even as a content producer or as a producer in general, you need to do your best all the time. Like, you need to do your best all the time. You don't leave things half-baked. You need to really understand your show DNA. And in whatever you do, you must always make sure that the content that you put on air is quality content, and the guests that you put on air are of high quality. And the show, you must always ask you a simple question. What is the purpose of what we are doing? What is the purpose of this interview? I mean, what's the purpose of hosting this guest called Wandile? Is he the best? Can we take Lebang instead of Wandi? You know what I mean? And the major thing that you want to do as the show, especially I want to talk about the current affairs show that we do, is that you want to be part of the conversation that's going on in the country. You want to be at the forefront of unearthing those solutions and that the country needs. And each and every time you do that on air, you never do, I don't know in other languages, in Xhosa you call it Uphela sonwabo. Uphela sonwabo is you just do something just to do it. You know what I mean? You must always know that when you go on air, you already know what you want to achieve. You want a certain guest, and you know, sometimes most of the time, you even know how your guests are gonna sound. For example, if I'm doing politics, I have to decide, but okay, do I need Prince Mashele or do I need I'm just trying to think of any other political analyst. I'm just thinking, let's say his name is Dr. Mhlongo. Even before I put Dr. Mhlongo on air, I already know how he sounds. I already know that it's not like you're censoring people, but you are also looking for, I need someone who's going to sound it like this. I need someone who's going to do like this, because at the end of the day, you are educating, you are teaching, you are finding solutions, you are parting of something, you are part of something bigger. So all those elements are very important when you produce a show, especially a current affairs show, to know all the stuff. So the main purpose of what we do more than anything is to really educate. That's the current affairs show.
Chuma, you also told us earlier, Uguti, you gave Fresh and Tato the content, they used it. You gave Glenn Lewis the content, they used it. And I know that on the line right now, there are a lot of aspiring content producers who want to know everything. But how do you make your mark as you, as a specific content producer, your style, your energy, your vibe? I don't want to say how do you differentiate yourself from other content producers. I want to say, how do you make sure that you, as the content producer that you are, you stay relevant and you've left your mark in all the shows that you've produced?
There are 2 or 3 things that you need to achieve to reach that level. And to a point, by the way, that when I move around within the SABC, I've never when I move around within the SABC, I've never done an application or I go and beg. I just pick up a phone call and I call the station manager of that. And I say, this is Chuma, I want to see if I can work for your station next year or something like that. Why are those station managers know me? They know me because one of the most important things when you're a content producer is that you need to be reliable. You need to be well-read. That one is more like number 1. You need to be well-read. Number 3, you really need to understand your show and you need to understand your market. And you need to work hard. Now, why is it important to be well-read? Because as a content producer, you're dealing with information. Sometimes information from newspapers and magazines, TV, sometimes information from your head and your knowledge. And you have to be well informed as much as you know about what is happening with President Zuma or what is happening with the country. You have to know what is happening with the Kardashians, what is happening with Casper. So you don't limit yourself by saying, no, I'm a serious type and I only listen to this, you know what I mean? Because that's what makes you versatile. And once you do that, you need to be able to sense the stories. Because first and foremost, every show has its own DNA. Not every show can speak about everything under the sun. So each and every show, you'll know about, okay, this show normally talks about this and this and this and this. This is what we're all about in general. So you sense stories that speak to your show. But sometimes you can see someone on TV and say, this can work for my show. Way back they used to say, I don't know if they still say it now, they used to say as a producer, you produce 24 hours, meaning you see things and you say, we can talk about this. Because content means what is it that you can talk about on air? And what you talked about on air today, you can't talk about it tomorrow, you can't talk about it next. So you have to have the ideas almost every day, new information every day, what to talk about. So how do I differentiate myself? I'm not sure, I think that's what you said. Now, I've worked in 2 types of production. Content for music shows like More Flavor, and Luz and Unad and other people, and then for current affairs. Now, for other shows like music shows, there are 2 ways of doing radio. The one is what you call creative links, and number 2 is the information that you know. Creative links is because as a producer, you must always work with your presenter and you need to understand the style and the personality of the presenter. And you must come up with things that your presenter will feel comfortable talking about it, because the most important thing that a show needs to do, a show needs to flow. When a show needs to flow, it means a show is not struggling. A show that is struggling, you can tell, you can feel it, that a show is struggling. And sometimes for the show not to struggle, you have to make sure that the presenter is comfortable in some of the things. For example, if a presenter is not comfortable talking about GBV, it does not necessarily mean the presenter can't talk about GBV, but there's got to be a way where the presenter, how the presenter can enter the link where he sounds interesting. Maybe he doesn't want to be too heavy. Maybe he doesn't want to be. So all those things you have to discuss with your presenter. A mentor of mine once said to me, his name is David Mashabela, because when I started at Metro FM, he's the guy who set me down and taught me how to do it. He said, you can talk about anything on radio as long as you make it interesting. So what you do as the presenter, as the producer, what you do as the producer is that you must always communicate with your presenter, even during the show. But okay, now the next link, you know, I used to do this a lot with More Flavor. Okay, the next link we're talking about, just trying to think of something. We're talking about dogs. Okay, that's too white. We're talking about whatever we're talking about. So I have to go to him and say, okay, how do we enter this link? So what do we do? Okay, how about we start like, we enter the link like this. And, you know, because at the end of the day, the link has to be interesting. So that's how you work with the presenter. So you become more interesting and I guess more relevant to some people and to the station, the fact that you can be there for so many years, based on so many things, including you are reliable. Reliability also means if a crisis happens on the show, are you reliable enough to do something? Because the presenter is gonna, for example, this morning, we're supposed to speak to Rapulana Seipemo on Shona Ferguson. So we call him, he's not picking up the phone, Now, in a situation like that, a presenter is gonna ask you, so what do we do? So as a producer, you can't say, I don't know. It's your job to know. It's a job to do something. It's a job to do something like now, find something. So I quickly had to, you know what I mean, to call Silo Makekangube and say the same thing. And he was able to come on air and do that thing. So you have to be able to think on your feet. You can't be like, I don't know, you like the leader of the show. You're the leader of the show. Some people take as far as to call it the brains behind the show. But especially if you have two presenters, you need to be able to lead them. You need to be able to, for example, when I was last year, I was working with Moji and Ludlove, and we're working in studio because that was before COVID. Each and every time before link, you go and speak to them and say, okay, guys, so now we're doing this link on, let's say, OnlyFans. We're going to talk about OnlyFans. So this is what you're going to talk about. This is the side you're going to take. Let's talk about it. So you'd say something like, okay, when I'm OG, you're going to come on air and say, what is this OnlyFans thing everyone is talking about that is trending on Twitter? And then you, Andila, you will explain what more OnlyFans is, and you'll be shocked, and then that's where the conversation is gonna. So that thing sometimes, most of the time, needs a producer who's gonna be able to sit and communicate with the presenter. So when you're a content producer, there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes. There's work that you do before the show. There's work that you do during the show. More than anything, you are the leader of the show. You have to know where it's going. You have to feel if it's, as the show is happening, you have to feel if, are we there? Are we getting there? Is it good? Is it flowing? And because at the end of the day, if things are not going well, you're the one who gets to be called. The station manager is going to call you, or the program manager and ask you back, and what's going on with that show. So that's the most important thing. You become the leader of the show.
Oh, wow, Chuma. I just wish that we had all day. I could definitely, just take as much notes as I can. Now, I just want to ask this. Now, when it comes to entertainment, politics, current affairs, for the national broadcaster, how is the pressure there to deliver?
Well, I mean, listen, I work for Metro FM. Metro FM is a high pressure environment, to be honest, because it's a commercial station. Everything that we do is based on a simple principle. You need to have a show, and the show needs to attract listeners, and the listeners have to attract advertising. Everything that we do is we have to attract advertising. And there are so many people who are listening. People are listening everywhere. The station is listening. The bosses are listening. Twitter people are listening. There's always this pressure in general. And also when you work for Metro FM, it's like when you're playing for Kaizer Chiefs. It's a big station. Everything needs to work. Everything needs to, including, this thing you were talking about, entertainment guests, whatever, including one of the most important things are the guests that you put on air. You can't take some guy who is, if you could come to me as one dealer and you say, hey man, I have this guy called Sipo, can you put him on air? He wants to talk about, he's a lawyer, he wants to talk about how to defend your rights as a lawyer. Even if I met you at Leadership 2020, you're my boy, I like you, you ask me nice questions, it's all good. And then you give me this person, I can never put that person on air because I don't know his background. I've never heard him speak. I don't know how he's going to sound. He qualified just last year. I mean, he's a nice guy, but I can't put him on air. I'd rather go and look for a guy who's done this for the past 5 years, 6 years, something like that, because you're doing that because you're protecting the reputation of the station. You don't want to put a guy on air and then you ask him questions, he doesn't have answers. Then once he does that, he's going to kill the show. Once you kill the show, you're killing us. Everything that we do it so that, as Matt said, it's for the listeners, but it's also for the show. The show must never die. You see what I mean? Even with this Shona Ferguson thing, I had to think in terms of who would be the right person to speak to regarding Shona. And you have to think, you need to find someone with a strong voice. You need to find someone who has a story to tell. You need to find, I can't take, for example, just an actor. I need to find someone. So I thought, like, okay, let me take Rapulan. Or let me take Silamake Kangube. Someone I already know that on air is gonna give it that oomph, that dignity, that thing. So you think like that as a producer in general, in terms of, so why is it's high pressure? Because if I could put a guy there to pay tribute to Shona Ferguson, and that person is like, yeah, Shona was a good guy, man, we're gonna miss him, and yeah, may he so rest in peace. That's not gonna assist us as a show, and also it's gonna kill me as the producer, because once a guest is very bad, even the presenter will ask you, but and who's that guy? Why did we speak to him? So the pressure is there to always have a high quality show, no matter what. The pressure comes from the station before it comes from SABC and other places. Just your job. It also comes from your presenter, because no presenter wants to fail. Even if I could, let's say I start producing for Met L, even though she's young, she just got there last year, whatever. But Met L is gonna put me under pressure because she doesn't want to fail. You know what I mean? She's gonna scrutinize everything I do. No, I can't do this. No, let's put it this way. Let's put it that way. Let's do like this, like that. So that's the pressure, because no presenter wants to go on air and be whack or be, everyone is putting 100%. Also in general, our contracts are 1 year. We work with 1 year contracts. So when you work with a 1 year contract, it means you have to perform all the time, or else your contract won't be renewed. So the fact that I've been doing this 1 year contract for the past 15 years, that's what it is. It means you have to work you can't afford not to.
Imagine signing the same contract year after year. You're just signing a signature, what's up. That's hectic. Chuma, Thank you for being here. It's 11:30 on the dot. It's a Saturday morning. I'm freezing. I don't know about you. I hope you've got a heater and a blanket and a something, because but there's sun outside. Like, there's some sun, but it's cold. Okay, confuse us more, weather. You're still listening to Leadership 2020's I Was Born to Speak on Radio webinar. We are still joined by Chuma, and he has been dropping bars. There's so many questions that we want to get through, but we are just behind on time. So I'm just going to ask my brother Utepo James, who is actually a graduate on I Was Born to Speak on Radio, and he is a huge producer. He's a huge content producer already, like Sete Ale legend. Yeah, sense. So I think I'm gonna ask you, bro, to speak to Chuma and chat to him. It's your chance. Chuma, please chat to the boy. This is Tepo James.
Hi, Chuma, how are you?
I'm all right, sir. You?
I'm good. You're speaking to Tepo. So Tepo James, to be more specific, do content producing for the Homegrown Experience. So it's a team of 3 guys. Actually, it's the 4 of us. So the first half of the show is a guy named Ghost. He runs a show called Tabloids and Showbiz. That's what the show is about. And then on the second half of the show, it's Love and Sports. It's done by a guy called Smags, but he went to Cape Town. Now he's responsible for doing sports. Now he's going to do that stuff on the phone. But I'll be taking in and standing in for that particular show at that specific point. And then on the third half of the show is a lady called Anele Kunene. She does motivation and inspiration. So we work together as a team throughout the time. And basically the show is just doing well at the moment. I just have one question for you. You content produce for 3 shows at Metro FM. So now the content of those shows, they differ. It's politics, it's economics, it's entertainment. How do you go about imagining how the listener looks like, jumping from one type of content to the next, and getting specific guests for that specific content? Thank you.
It's an interesting question. But also, okay, let me just speak about the shows that I do.
Okay.
The talk show that I do has its own people, talk listeners. I don't know if, but I'm very much inclined to believe that, I don't know if the same people who listen to my talk show are the same people who listen to More Flavor in the Morning. I like to believe that the talk show people are they like to move around. They listen to 702, SAFM, Power FM, and they look for their own people and look for these specific shows. So when I do my talk show, I do talk people and who are a bit young, because our presenter is young. Our presenter is 30 years old. And our guests that we normally have there are also a bit young. So when I do that show, I don't think in terms of this a guy was listening to Lerato Kganyago, now he has to listen to me. I just do my show the way it's supposed to be done. And then the Saturday show is different because a radio show has to mirror people's lifestyles. Meaning, when you do a Saturday breakfast show, you must think in terms of a Saturday morning and people are waking up. They wake up at 6, 7, 8, others are lazy to wake up. Others, they wake up and clean their houses. It also means that you have to understand that your content on Saturday morning must not be heavy. Even if you're gonna talk about serious stuff, you need to be able to that thing I spoke about earlier on in terms of how you enter a link. You need to phrase it in a way that it's not too heavy because it's Saturday morning. You must always think about who's listening at this time. Same thing, like if you produce a breakfast show, when people are driving to work in their cars with their children, you must think about that. Same thing when you're doing a drive time show, when people are coming back from work tired. So you must think about that. And what kind of content do we do and how do we deliver that content when you speak to people who are tired? It's been a long day. The boss was hard on me and stuff like that. So the major thing is, and then when I do gospel on Sunday, gospel is, that one is quite easy because it's a niche environment. These are like spiritual people. They want to pray, they want to praise. So it's not really linked to other shows that I do. But the most important thing when you produce a show is to always remember who is listening at that time. If you do a show between 9 and 12 on Saturdays, you must think about what is that people are doing at this time and how do we speak to them? You see what I mean? So as I said, I always go back to the gender-based violence thing. How do you do GBV on a Saturday morning at 11 a.m.? That's not the same thing as me talk about GBV in terms of my talk show on a Wednesday night at 8 p.m. There I can be deeper. You know, we can be graphic, we can be deep, we can say this and this. But how do you do it? So more than anything, you must always think about who's listening and what is that person doing at this time of the day, and how do we speak to him or to her at that time? That's the most important thing. Remember that line I said earlier on, radio will always mirror people's lifestyles.
Bars, yeah. Bars. Chuma, thank you so very much for joining us on I Was Born to Speak on Radio. I speak for everybody when I say this was very insightful. We don't hear enough about the work that goes into the content production. I remember a couple of weeks ago, we had David Mashalela here, not Mashalela, David on the, yes, Masham, yes. And he said the relationship between a content producer and a presenter is like a marriage. And I'm of the belief that in a marriage, the woman is the neck and the husband is the head. And that's ultimately what it's like. You know, the neck is air controller. it's making the rules, but the head is obviously, you know, executing. And that's the relationship between a presenter and a producer. So thank you for your time. Thank you for spending this time with us. I wish we could ask you more because there's so much that we want to learn, but the way life is set up. So we're in the final part. Thank you. We're in the final part of the webinar, and this session that we're getting into is all about commercial hit radio. It's the dream. It's the, you know, it's the Beyonce. It's the glitz. It's the glam. It's where we ultimately want to go. And I am so excited to be introducing our guest because I was lucky enough to actually work with her myself back in my YFM days. I would literally watch this person walk into a room. You know that thing where a person walks into the room and there's something, there's this energy. She doesn't need to even open her mouth, but you can feel the presence of this girl. And it has nothing to do with the fact that she's tall. That's just God saying, you know, hey, I want to make you tall. That's not the thing. The thing is, it's her energy. It is contagious. You can't ignore it. I promise you, you cannot. You'll try, but you just can't. And that's who she is. That's how she is. This person is so, like, she believes in herself so much that you believe in her. By looking at her, you'll start believing in yourself. That's how dope she is. She knows herself. She'll make you want to know yourself. Ayanda, MVP, is here. Girl, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us. I will absolutely never forget my personal experiences with you, allowing me to just watch you do your thing. You know, guys, I understand. She stands behind the desk. In her tallness, she'll stand and go, and you sit there and you're like, whoa, she just killed that entire link. And she does that for like 2 hours, and now she does it for 6 days a week. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, notepads out, pens ready, Ayanda MVP in the building. Welcome to I Was Born to Speak on Radio. Girl, I mean, when did you fall in love with radio? Tell us about your journey. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope you're well. More life being. And my name is Ayanda MVP. Yes, I am on radio 6 days a week, 12 to 3 during the week in the afternoons. And then on Sundays, I host a music show known as New and Exclusive. When did I get on radio? I think I got on radio by accident. It was an accident. I went to high school at the National School of the Arts. So I learned how to do drama, how to speak, how to walk tall, how to but internalize it, because drama students, you know how they go. And then I got to varsity and I wasn't sure what I really wanted to do. So I studied psychology and criminology. But then there was this place at Tux known as Tux FM. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I think I have a nice voice for it. So let me go try. I auditioned, because that's what you do on certain campus radio stations, you audition. So I auditioned at Tax FM, I got the job, and I just started hosting, and I fell in love with it even more. And then a good 2 years later, I got called by Tumelo Diao Munaheng, station manager at YFM then, to give me a chance. He gave me an opportunity. And when I got that opportunity, I took it with both hands. So at some point I was hosting Graveyard. From Graveyard, I started standing in. And when you stand in for shows, that's when you need to show who you are. So I always used to be the girl that said Molifing on YFM all the time. It was irritating. A lot of people, why are you always saying Molifing? What's the word with Molifing? What's going on with Molifing? But Molifing is how I was basically cementing my own personal personality in people's heads. Because I didn't know if I was going to come back and stand in for other shows again. And then Tumelo gave me a show to host Saturdays, Sundays, 12 to 3 in the afternoon on YFM. It was called the MVP Zone, the best time in life. I really enjoyed it a lot. And obviously I started elevating, because the keenness and the interest that I had on radio for radio made me grow more in how I created my content and how I made sure I gave people the energy they needed for that Saturday or Sunday afternoon. Then I progressed to another show called Bonafide, which was during the week, 9 or 10 to 1. That was a great show as well. But I think I really was in love with Lunchtime. So that's when I started. I went to Lunchtime. I hosted the MVP Zone season 2. And that's when I got a co-host. That's when I got a producer. So for the first time, I actually had my own group of people to work with. I wasn't just producing alone. I wasn't just technically producing alone. I was actually in a team. So I learned to be a leader in that aspect. And then time passed, and someone else called me from another station, and he was like, hi, we want to give you a chance at 947. I said, okay, let's go. And I got to 947, same energy, same personality, but I also had to remember the market that I was speaking to was completely different. With YFM, I was speaking to young people, you know, people in the burbs, people in the streets, people that are like down with the lingo. But 947 is different. Now I'm speaking to our mothers at the workplace. I'm speaking to our dads. I'm speaking to young professionals that are now in 9-to-5s in corporate worlds. And I'm also speaking to people like me, people that are also in the streets who are urban, but the communication also had to change. I couldn't be too gangster because people were going to be scared of me. But all I needed to do was think about how I'd speak to my principal every time I ran into him by mistake. Oh, good morning, Mr. Van Gent. How are you doing? No, well, can't complain, sir. Have a lovely day. And that's what a lot of the times people think happens when you leave one station to the next. They think that you change, you transform. No, you don't. You're now trying to accommodate the new listener that doesn't know your personality or understand the culture in which you come from. I'm from a hip hop music driven background. I speak in slang, and in most circumstances, I swear when I'm like with my people. But I can't be doing that on radio. They need to see the best self, but also I'm not changing my personality. I'm just changing how I'm addressing people. So the energy is still the same. The drive is still the same. Now it's, oh, Ayanda, you bring so much energy when I listen to you. I love you so much. Thank you for brightening my day. I need to remember that my job is to entertain the listener. And then I did something where I hosted a 5-hour show. At the beginning, I thought it was a big mistake, but also I thought of it as a challenge. So it was 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. I was doing mid-morning and lunch at the same time. You can't talk about lunch things during a mid-morning show. People aren't ready for that yet. You can't talk about mid-morning in a lunchtime show. There's a different pace to it. So that's where I had to now understand the difference between being up in the morning and at work and being at work during lunchtime. But the journey's been going well so far. My contract's still being, renewed every year. So it means I'm doing something good, more lifing. And yeah, that's how I basically got on radio.
Wow, Ayanda, you are indeed such a force to be reckoned with. Your energy, it can't be ignored. Now, just share with us, what do you enjoy about being on radio and what keeps you coming back?
I think I don't enjoy being on radio. I love being on radio. There's a huge difference with that. You can enjoy going out for a certain period of time. You can enjoy groove because you're there, maybe you're single, you're ready to mingle, and you just want to see if you still got it in the streets. But when you love radio, you're in a relationship. So that's different. You're committed. You want to know that you're there for this person all the time. You want to know that they can count on you. And that's why it's very rare for radio DJs to fall sick. Hey, I don't know if you've noticed. Radio DJs, as Gulitina. We are ever ready. We are always there. And it also hurts us when we can't make it to work. And the only reason I, for example, wouldn't be able to make it to work is if my sinuses are so clogged up that I start sounding like I'm sick on air. I can't give you the worst of me. I have to give you the best of me. So I need to make sure ukuthi ngithatha antihistamine, nasal spray, ngoba I know ukuthi ama-sinus ayangishaya in winter or in summer, depending on the season. But I need to be my best self. So I need to make sure that I'm taking my multivitamins. I'm trained. Oh, I love gym, by the way. Your gym will keep you young and energetic. It just gives you a natural adrenaline. Because in some situations, back in the day, when I recall stories that I've heard from other senior jocks, a lot of the times, some presenters would rely on certain other, drugs or energy boosters just to keep themselves going. And I just didn't want that. I'm not trying to vibe with that. But gymming keeps me energized, drinking a lot of water, and also just speaking to myself. If you're a person who wants to be a radio presenter, you need to have a conversation with yourself often, because sometimes we think what we're saying actually makes sense when it really doesn't. So if you get used to asking yourself questions, how am I going to make their day today? What did I find funny that I think they'll find funny? You also have to ask yourself questions. So for me, my love for radio was what keeps me going all the time. When you love something that you do, it never becomes something that you just enjoy. It's a part of you. It's your life. More life in.
I saw you tend to just throw that more life in there.
Always automatic.
So Ayanda, we live in a time where the word representation kind of just gets thrown around a lot. You know, everybody wants to feel represented and everybody wants to feel like they're a part of something, you know, that sense of belonging to some sort of club or squad or whatever the case is. What do you think you represent behind the microphone as Ayanda MVP, More Lifing?
I think I represent, I want to say, the cool girl next door. I'm your homie. I am literally someone that I'm not there to pry. I don't want to know your ndabas. I don't want to like fully load you with information that you might not even care about that's going on during your day. And also to think about it, when I was younger in school, I think in certain schools, maybe you guys did or not, but I was in a school that had a lot of cliques. So you had a clique known as the Glam Squad. You had a clique known as the Aviators. You had a clique, and they wore aviator shades. Like, people had groups. I didn't have a clique. I didn't have groups. But I also didn't think that it was a problem because I still had friends. But it was something that I learned in my young environment where my mom didn't encourage friendship kakulu. Don't do it too much. But I was like, how am I supposed to be a person if I can't make friends or if I can't be attached to groups or cliques? And then I realized that I don't need to. That doesn't have to define me. I don't need to be part of people that always wear lip gloss because I don't like wearing lip gloss. So I can't be part of the Glam Squad because lip gloss is not my thing. But I also can't be part of the aviators because I don't like wearing aviator shades. But how do I define it for myself? And that's why I don't believe that a clique or a group is something you need to be excited about when it comes to your career in the entertainment world. Everyone is trying to be different and unique. But if you keep following a certain trend or a certain way someone speaks, you listen to the way someone speaks and you're like, if I speak like that on radio, I will definitely get the job. It doesn't work like that. We're trying to find a personality through the voice, not by just seeing it. And that's why I love radio so much. You don't have to see me. And people still don't know what I look like to this day that know me as Ayanda MVP. They'd be shocked to see. Can't do much so. Yeah, but it's not what I'm here for. I'm here to be your Chomi. I'm here to be your friend. I'm here to say, look, if you feel frustrated and you've got something to get off your chest, do it. But I promise you this. I'll promise you anonymity. No one will know it's you. So you can vent easily. Because sometimes we don't want to share our problems, even though we all go through similar problems. And that's when you start making your features that you come up with. But I don't believe in cliques or in groups. It's not a thing that will grow you. Group work, yes, for an assignment, definitely. Everybody needs to work on their strengths and weaknesses, especially when you work as a team on a show. But to be with my team every day, like I go out with them and I go have breakfast with, no, we all need to be our own people so we can come back and tell all our stories that happened from the weekend. That's the nice thing about being different, when you can absorb other people's experiences, but also share your own.
Well, Ayanda, you work in radio 6 days a week, which is just mind-blowing. And you also hosted a 5-hour show in your early days at Prime Media. What keeps you pumped up and engaged?
So I think I fell in love.
Yes, now it's fine.
Hey, can I carry on?
No, yes, please carry on.
Sorry.
You see now, the question is gone now out of my head. I'm thinking about too many things. But I think if I recall, you're saying, how did I cope with hosting a 5-hour show and how I'm on for 6 hours on air?
Yes.
Once again, it is love, but at the same time, I need to also boost myself. With radio is also like work. Radio is also like your 9 to 5. So it's how you prep your day in the morning. It's how you also make sure you don't allow certain things to bother you during your show. Some people are cool with being on their phones while they're on air. But for me, it confuses me because I am one person. At some point, I was my own content producer, technical producer. And fortunately, now that I'm working from home, I have someone running the desk for me. But when I focus on something, I give it all the energy that I can. And if I run out of energy, I go get more energy. That's why I said the gymming, the eating well, the maintaining your own healthy lifestyle. You need to take care of your own body so your body can give you the vuma that you want. You think if you're working in front of a PC and you're going to have a quarter every day for lunch, you're not going to fall asleep. You have to take care of yourself. Even now, more than ever, with this pandemic, we know now that our health is the biggest thing ever. So me, I have my quota on Friday because I know with Saturday, I can chill and relax. Sunday, I've got another show that I need to get to. So I need to also plan my day out nicely or my week out properly and be healthy. I have to be healthy. I have to always be there. It's radio, guys. My personality mustn't change. Even when it's that time of the month, I got to be above that, yo. I got to be above that energy. Like there's so many times when I'm like, yo, I don't want to go to work, but I have to make it work. I really do. And as women, we take it in our stride and we do the most with it. Guys, fortunately, you guys don't go through those things, but you know, sometimes you get situations where your girl is just like feeling some type of way. She wants some space and emotionally, you're just not having it. You need to find a way that you can leave it in a box and put it away and dilute it after when it's done. Don't put your emotions on air unless you're doing it in the right way, unless you know that you planned your content around it. So if you had a bad moment now, don't speak about it on the same day. Give it time to relax and then analyze what you're trying to do. Where is this going? Why am I trying to tell people that the po-po really irritate me without being irritated by the fact that I got stopped 3 times by the po-po? Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's definitely just making sure I can be sane. I need to be sane for myself and my thoughts with what I want to present to the listener.
Disclaimer, we do not allow any Kota slander up in here, baby girl. No Kota slander allowed.
You don't understand where I'm coming from, though. That's a luxury. It's not a need. It's a luxury. Kota.
Hey, Kota emunati, babes. We grew up on that. So that's that on that.
That's true. I agree with you.
Yeah, no, but I definitely agree with you via like health, guys. Yeah, Ayanda's right. Self-love, baby. Hashtag self-love, drink water, stay in the gym. You'll thank yourself in 5 years' time that you started now. Trust, that's where it's at. So Ayanda, you, I think, are lucky enough to be one of the people that kind of the journey flowed for you, you know, campus radio, and then you're into the Y, and then now you're at, so it's one of those, you know, nice journeys. Now you're in commercial, that's where you at finish line vibes. What are some of the best things about commercial radio? And also what are some of the hardest things about commercial radio?
The best thing about commercial radio is the money. The money. It's not lie. We are in love with this medium, but also we're trying to put bread on the table and we're trying to survive. Like, and the more focused you are, the more you can build on that, the more you can grow from it. I mean, I got my first car only at the age of 28 because the money was not great. So I had to find places where commercial radio actually offers money that could give you a chance to say, hey, you know what? This is where I can save, this is where I can balance. And then I got my first car at 28. That was like a real dream for me. It was a big thing. And I didn't just get a car, I got my car. I got a car. So for me, obviously, I want to enjoy the good life and I love the good life. And that's why I need to maintain it with my consistency. So that's one good thing about commercial radio. And also commercial radio teaches you to be succinct. Commercial radio also teaches you to know how to speak to people through what the radio station needs to say. Commercial radio is always about selling. The biggest department, I'm sure, in commercial radio should be sales or marketing, between the two, where sales can say, this is what we can give you and sell for you, and this is what the presenter can do to also add onto it. And that's why you have things like power spots or live reads that you need to make sure you do your best with. The downside of radio, I wouldn't call it downside, but I would call it the side of radio that needs attention commercially in the commercial space is the fact that you need to focus on what is driven by the station. If the station is driven about, you know, community, love, growth for one another, and that's what 947 is about, because 947's logo is 947 loves you. So 947 is your friend through all the things that you've been through. We're there for you, and we'll also give you opportunities to win, and we'll also give you opportunities to be given something if you are in need of something, or if you are in a dire circumstance or situation. But 947 doesn't reflect the same, what you can call it, opinions as our sister station 702. It's a talk station, and they talk about hard-hitting facts, what's going on in the world, the side that you really don't want to listen to because some people can't stomach it. But that's what I can't bring onto 947. I can't talk about hard-hitting facts that are going to leave people feeling even more bad for the day, especially with the looting situation. I could not say there's looting happening. Remember, you need to acknowledge that there are things happening, but my biggest drive was to remind the listener, what are you doing in your life to control or make sure you reset in your mind and calm down? Can't talk about looting in Durban when we're staying in Joburg. We have our own problems here. So let's start with our own problems here. You know what I mean? And it's not in a bad way, but you want to make sure people are aware that the immediate community you're broadcasting to is the community that matters first. So find them or give them happiness. And that's why with commercial radio, you can't be as expressive unless you do it carefully. And you have to also make sure you use your words wisely, because we've witnessed some people leaving stations because of certain things that they've said, because they also thought they were bigger than the brand, which is not a real thing. The station will always be bigger than you. The station's been there longer than you have. You are not the station. You are part of it. And that's why I always have to think to myself, yo, there's so much going on in the world right now. How am I going to now turn it around and make sure that the listener is eased in knowing that they're okay? Like, I think right now, the biggest thing in the world is mental health. A lot of people are going through a lot of things. And one of the things they resort to, or a companion that they find, is someone on radio that is making sure their day goes right. So that is the good and the bad with commercial radio for me.
Thank you, Ayanda. There's a lot of bars that you dropped there, especially the fact that the mental health thing, it's real. It's a real thing. It's not hype. It's facts. It's reality. And part of being a radio DJ and having that responsibility of connecting with your listener and is healing. It's ultimately healing. That's what we're doing. We're serving the listener. I want to go to the floor. I want to get everybody involved. Uleboheng has a question, but before that, Bonke, is your hand still up? If you want to ask Ayanda a question, now's the time to turn on your camera. Now's the time to put on the smile and ask Ayanda your question. So if you can do that, that would be lovely. But while you figure that out, Ayanda, Oleboheng is asking, when did you fall in love with being a DJ?
Which DJ? The DJ on the decks?
Well, it says DJ, so maybe all of the DJs, the decks and the, yeah.
Well, I mean, the radio lab came first before anything else. The DJing on the decks. So I honestly became a DJ because I was listening to a lot of music back at Tux when I was in varsity, and there were so many new songs that were dropping on TV, songs that were like hip hop orientated and very like trappy, very like moody, like, oh, this is a vibe. So when we used to go, there was a place called Hatfield Square, and we used to go to certain areas in that place. I don't know if you guys know it, but there's a place called, there was Capello, there was, what's that other place called? And it was blue, opposite Stones. Zanzu, there was Zanzu. Yeah, but Kofi was the first spot that I went to, and I actually saw a DJ playing, and then I wanted to go ask if they had a certain song. It had just dropped. It was called Drink in My Cup. And I asked the person if they had the song. They said, no, I don't have it. I said, okay. Went to the next groove, because at Hatfield Square, you just go from party to party. Went to the next groove. Do you have the song, Man of the Hour? No, I don't. Okay, sure. Hi, man, people don't have my songs. What's going on? And every time I'd request, DJs looked irritated or just looked boring. And I was just like, this is irritating. So one day there was the station manager of Tux FM then was married to his wife who worked at Drop Zone. She was a resident. So I'm like, okay, do you mind if you teach me how to play so I can actually start playing my own songs? so I can also like feel the vibe of being a DJ. And she was like, yeah, no problem. But she wasn't a hip hop DJ. She was an electric dubstep DJ. So she was playing the uns vibe. But the uns is where I learned how to beat match, to mix BPMs. And I got the uns vibe. I learned how to mix that. And then I started downloading hip hop songs. And that's how I really became a DJ. I was tired of DJs not playing for girls. So I became that girl that played for the girls. And then there are more girls that came through, start playing for the girls. And now we're all balanced. So we nice.
Cool. Bonke, please ask Miss MVP your question.
Sure, Bonke.
What's good, everybody? I go by the name Bonke Mzolo. This is the Hip Hop Experience right here on I Was Born to Speak on Radio. The most dynamic in the world. You thought I'd say Mzansi. Oh no, we're international. What's up, team? What's up, team? A very blessed team indeed. We are joined by the MVPs of the game. Oof. My question for you today, Ayanda, is, as a personality, you seem like a very opinionated somebody. How limited are we, like, on our socials in terms of like voicing our own opinions? Maybe you want to talk about the vaccines. Maybe you want to talk about the LGBTQT+ community. Maybe you want to talk about the government. What you think? How limited are you? I mean, obviously you can't talk about, let's say you work for Metro FM and they're running a campaign for Coca-Cola. Surely you can't be on your socials bashing Coca-Cola and how unhealthy it is. But where do you draw the line? Where does the station step in and be like, yo, you're going too far? Thank you.
That's a very good question, Bonke. Thank you very much for that one. I think everybody has their own perspectives on what they feel social media does for them. If social media is a medium for you to voice your opinions, then that's it. If social media is a space for you to research and find information, then that's it. If social media is a space where you can escape, then that's it. But for me, social media is basically a display of certain things. It's not really something that I would look for and go to for information, or look to and go for justification, especially if something happened on air. I'm on radio for a reason. That is my highest way of communication. I don't opt for social media on communication because then my personality doesn't exist on social media. It wasn't a thing that I was taught. Back in the day at YFM, we weren't allowed to be on our social media during shows. We could only use the YFM social media. And I just got used to that rule. Like, even only after my show do I check Twitter, because I forget about Twitter. But I'm always on the gram because I love displaying stories and I love seeing things that, you know, make me happy. So I'm not a person that will agree in bashing or sort of commenting on something unless I know what I want to say. You need to know how to back yourself up if anyone decides to just say, oh, what do you actually mean by that? And you must understand, on Twitter, there are not a lot of nice people. Some people will want you to justify just because they want you to go down. So you have to choose if you'd be prepared for that battle. Apologies about that. You have to choose if you're prepared for that battle. I'm not a fighter. I'm not used to fighting. Even when I was younger, I don't do this thing of back chatting and no, you don't understand. It's my opinion. I just like analyze and I watch and I scrutinize, and what I do take on air doesn't bash anyone, but it does make people want to conversate about it. If someone says I'm finally, you know, gonna go and reveal myself and take myself out of the closet to my parents, I can't be there saying, oh, congratulations, you're finally gay. Wow, how rude is that? Do you know what I mean? The whole point wasn't the fact that he's saying he's gay. The whole point is he's revealing it to his parents. What am I gonna say? There's so many things that we have found hard to actually disclose to our parents. And I'm actually very proud that you're doing that. It's the same thing, but I'm saying it in a different way. I'm not bashing him. I'm encouraging him. I'm being the supportive friend. So that's the thing when it comes to social media. How are you going to always turn information around? There have been a lot of celebs that have actually found themselves face flat because of how people have turned their statements and made it something else. If there's something you're very passionate about, go for it, but do not bash other people in the process. You learn that in commercial radio and you grow, because I mean, I could have had a problem with an insuring company that I used to be with years ago, but I'm not gonna talk about that insurance company because their ads are on the show every single day. Every day, SMS 232999. Like, I can't say, oh, this insurance company sucks. I want to tell people not to go there. It's not my job. My job is to make sure I do what I'm told, right? But in doing what I'm told, I also find the enjoyment. So please, if you're in a situation where you really want to make a statement and you think people are going to find it smart, like say to your friends first, say to your closer community. People are like, no, it's a bad idea, son. Don't do that. Don't start that with that person. Don't do that. Listen, don't be too prideful. Also, you don't gain anything by having a bad reputation on social media. That just makes you like way less what you might call it, chosen for opportunities that you could be using with those brands. If you have your own things to say about brands, keep it to yourself because it will bite you one day. I promise you, it's not a good idea. But each to his own, as long as you know that you can be smart about it and you can go around it in a way that won't offend people to that degree.
So be smart about it and have a burner account where you can voice your opinions. Got you.
Yeah, one works very well. And your IP address, also change it. Don't make it the same. Use a library login, then you're good.
Thank you.
Sure,
thank you, Bonke. Shout out. That was actually really dope and very funny. Burner accounts is the way to do it. All right, guys, It's 7 minutes past 12. You're still tuned into I Was Born to Speak on radio. I know we said we're going to finish at 12, but you know, as radio lovers, what we just want to do is connect and talk and get to know each other. That's why we're still here. We are going to have our bonus session as well. Ayanda's still here, but I want to hand over now to somebody who's made all of this possible. Somebody whom I actually don't even want to say a lot because his greatness speaks for itself. His ability to connect with people. I have this one great memory of this person, and I'm going to share it with you. I feel like till this day, there's definitely people that walk up to Swu and say that, for sure. Because as a radio DJ, you make people feel things. You're evoking emotion. So people remember how you feel. And Uswu back then on Y made us feel like we were one of the boys, like we were with him, we were part of him. So I want to hand over to Swu, and he will obviously then say goodbye to Ayanda and thank Ayanda and Asha Ayanda out. And thank you, Mama. You are amazing. Keep shining, keep doing you. Swu, oi, it's your chance. Over to you.
Ati oi. How are you guys doing? Let me see. My camera is on. Eh? Yes, I'm fine. Thank you so much, Sis Ayanda. We really appreciate your time. That was really, really incredible. And I think the last time we did a radio sort of a seminar, whatever. Was in, what is that place? Boston, nah?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I think it was in Boston. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming through today in Gabo.
Yeah, I got you, bro. Always, when anything.
Yeah, no, it really means a lot. And thank you for sharing. I really, really appreciate it. And all the best, yeah?
Thank you so much. All the best to you too. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Keep having fun. And guys, keep having fun. And I hope you learned something from Ayanda. Ayanda really, really has done well for herself from a youth station. And it's not an easy thing. You guys have seen Bonang move from live amp to top billing and now to whatever she's doing. It's about evolving. The same as More Flavor, moving from YFM to how he's sounding now on Metro. It's the same with Ayanda, moving from YFM to Highfield, to those platforms. Those platforms are force you to adapt to the lifestyle of the listener, how they're living their lives. And so it sort of, pushes you as well to change. Not change, as Ayanda was saying, but adapt. Yeah, adapting, I think is a correct word I can use. And she's doing it quite well. She's also in the club. She's also an entrepreneur. She's doing some influencer work for brands as well. So radio can open up opportunities for you guys. So I hope you learned a thing or two from Ayanda. And you can follow her on all her social media, Ayanda MVP Gabon. Big up, guys. We're so proud of you for plugging in today. We appreciate you. So I want you guys to succeed. This is obviously the beginning. You learn as much as you can. It's all about what you apply. And even in this new way of doing things, it forces you. It's like moving from high school to varsity. Which high school, why am I doing homework? Yeah, did you do this? And then when you get to varsity, it's like nobody landelas you. You know, it's totally up to you if you want to submit the assignments, if you want to come to class. If you don't want to come, that's also still up to you. It's the same thing with studying online. If you don't want to apply the work or the information that you're getting here or to do more research about radio, that's also still up to you. If you don't follow up the people that you've seen here speak, now you follow them on their platform, you create a relationship. It's sort of up to you what you want to do, but the platform is literally to engage to get these guys to engage with you guys. The last one we had Tando Tabete, we had David Mashabela, we had we've had so many people, Tish Matez, we had Azania, we've had Tony from Metro FM, we've had all sorts of guys, but they come with all the different perspectives because they come from different radio stations. So Metro FM sounds different from Highfold. Highfold sounds different from YFM. YFM sounds different from Massive Metro. So those are all different markets, but it's still all radio media. And then you start getting people doing podcasts, which is the new way of doing radio. Don't be fooled by the names, guys. It's still radio. It's still radio. Don't be fooled by the names. It is still radio. The only difference is that it has evolved. So you must evolve with it. Otherwise you get left behind. For instance, if Robert Marawa doesn't evolve, we'll always love him and we'll remember him for having done great work at the SABC, but life goes on, people move on. So he has to evolve and start his own podcast. But because he was at the SABC and it's got a big fan base and he's become this big brand and brands love him, he can start his own podcast anytime. He doesn't have to even partner with anyone. He can open up a YouTube channel like you guys do know, Marawa TV. It's doing actually very well. It's probably 100,000 subscribers now. 100,000 subscribers, I'm sure YouTube is already paying you over 20,000 rands every month. And that is a recurring income, eh? Once you start getting subscribers, for your podcast or for a YouTube platform, you get revenue streams from different platforms. So you start small, you build yourself. Don't wait to be hired by Massive Metro. Don't wait to be hired by homegrown YFM, Metro FM and 5FM. Start your podcast right now. Use your phone to start your podcast. Record yourself, speak to your moms, start creating content from around home. Start it with episodes. At first, it's probably going to be speaking to yourself. Then you have 3 people, and then it'll turn to 7 people. It'll become 20, it'll become 100. It's all about consistency. And you've seen how people started their things from the bottom and they just keep growing those things. It's like a snowball effect. It's not going to grow if you don't start it. You must start it. And when you start it, it's going to be a lot of work, especially in the beginning. It's going to be a lot of work. You're going to get tired. You're going to get pissed off. You're going to get irritated. You'll get demotivated at times. But just keep sharing the content, keep putting the content, keep coming up with great ideas, keep doing it. And then that snowball just starts gaining traction. And then it starts snowballing into something bigger. It starts like that. So I remember I had a meeting. I was telling Nick, I had a meeting with MacGyver 2 years ago. We're starting that podcast that MacGyver you see him doing. That was the 2 of us. So he approached me and said, please, can we do a podcast together? So we're going to do that podcast together with MacGyver. He stood me up 2 times. We're supposed to have a meeting at Massive Metro. He stood me up 2 times. The meeting didn't happen. But we just ended up speaking over the phone. When we spoke, I ended up saying, no, it's fine. Go ahead and do it. I know we're both busy. We've got a lot of things we're doing. You've stood me up twice. I'm not going to be able to work with somebody who stands me up twice. I won't trust you. Just go ahead and do your own thing alone. I also do my own thing alone. So I went and I started a podcast called The Hustler's Corner. And then he went and started Podcast and Chill, Make G. He literally started it in front of our eyes. This is literally now, guys. This is now. 2018, 2017, 18. Now, you know, literally in front of, it is now, I think if not one of the biggest in the continent, it's the biggest in South Africa, but it's grown right in front of our eyes. You guys have seen this literally a few years ago. Now you're starting to see trucks on the road. Now you're starting to see more Pick and Pay. It literally grew in front of your eyes. It's the same thing with what you are doing. Don't get demoralized when it's still at the beginning, when there's no support, when you get tired, when you get demotivated, when you don't feel like doing it at times. That's why we encourage you to choose what you love. And the reason why you guys are on this platform is because you all love, you all want to be broadcasters. Some of you guys might end up being TV broadcasters, television broadcasters. Some of you guys end up being sports broadcasters, news broadcasters, entertainment broadcasters. Some of you guys are going to be producers. Some of you guys are going to be copywriters, writers, copywriters. Some of you guys are going to be videographers, editors. Some of you guys are going to own a company that works with such people. Some of you guys are going to be, you know, there's all sorts of different professions when you start finding out about radio behind the scenes, that you can actually have a long-standing career without having to be on the mic, just like we heard from Chuma. Shout outs to Chuma as well. When we went to start Leadership 2020, myself and Nicholas was producing the breakfast show at Massive Metro with Glenn Lewis and Unati. When Nicholas left, he opened the door for Chuma to be hired. That's why we say, when you move on to the next level, you're creating an opportunity for others. Same as me. When I get fired from Metro, I move from that environment, it opens up the platform for others to come in. Now other people get employed there. The producer gets employed, the radio presenter gets employed, they bring in their own DJ, etc., social media person, etc., etc. So you must never feel you must be in some sort of a place for forever. There's nothing wrong. We can't be also like our parents who are working in places for like 20 years, 30 years. Learn what you can in 3 years, 4 years, and then move on to the next thing. You must never feel comfortable in doing one thing. But then abantu abafani, there are other people who are just like that, who are abangafani nathi, who don't have this type of energy, but who just want to have a stable something, understand it, and do it at their own pace and not keep on moving. And just be in an environment where they feel they love it and they want to feel appreciated as well. And they just want to create and do a great job. And that's what's going to happen to you as well. Where you feel comfortable, where you feel welcomed, where you feel you love being there, you'll offer the most, you'll deliver the most, you'll be in that environment. So I hope you guys are going to register for the I Was Born to Speak on Radio training program, the training course. We do webinars every other Saturday. We call industry people to come and share with us some of their experiences. We've got our radio station, which is built in the middle of our farm, which is based in Knopislachte. Knopislachte is between Midrand and Centurion. So we are in Centurion, just outside between Noordwijk or Country View and Deep Sloot, just before you get to Deep Sloot. We're at the back towards N14. Very, very awesome environment, very quiet. You can swear you're not in Joburg. What I love about the environment is because it's not in a city type of an environment. Every radio station is at a city. I think we are the only ones in Johannesburg or in Gauteng, or if not, maybe in the country, except for rural radio stations. I think we're the only ones that have got a radio station in such a setting. And I think that's what sets us apart from the market, because our radio station and our experience, it introduces you to agriculture, it introduces you to nature, it introduces you to farming life, which a lot of young people, when they're still young, they don't like and they're not interested in it. But when you get older, you start getting more and more interested in nature. You start getting more and more interested in farming or agriculture and those types of things. That's why we thought, why don't we introduce it to young people while they're still young, while they're still hip and happening? Let it be in a farm, in a quiet environment, so they can be one with nature and just enjoy an environment where they can farm, even if they want to farm. If they don't want to farm, they can just learn about farming, but they can be in a farm, and theirs is just to be as creative as possible, to come up with interesting content every day. Guys, you need to remember, you guys are in a day and age where you're not just on radio like us, where we used to call it the theater of the mind. People used to listen to us only, they never used to see us. You guys, people see you every day. And if they don't see you, then you're not engaging with them because they're all on their phones. So how do you keep being in a farm environment interesting? How do you keep being in a radio environment interesting every day? So Mondays, this is what we're going to talk about. Tuesdays, this is what we do. Wednesdays, this is what we do. Thursdays, what we do. Fridays are light. This is what we do. Or maybe you end up doing weekend radio. This is the type of show I want to do because people are on the move, people are shopping, it's weekend, people are going out, people are with their families. This is the type of radio I want to do, depending on the time that you go on. If you've got a radio show at night or in the early hours of the morning, just like Matt L. Thank you very much, Matt L, by the way, for joining us. You You understand that abantu kind of 4 ekuseni by emsebenzini, or abantu abakulalela abantu basebenza night shift, or abantu abavuka ekuseni getting ready to go to work. It's like early hours of the morning. So how you structure your show also has to have all of that in thought in your mind. Remember, no matter how great you can be, nobody's gonna stop their lives for you as a radio DJ. You as a radio DJ must be the one who stops and listen or observes the world or your audience and how they're living their lives. And then you accustom your content to be relevant to them. It's not the other way around. It's you who curates or who creates to curate and deliver content for your audience in a manner in which they are living their lives. You can't feel like, no, Mina, this is what I'm gonna do, and they're gonna buy into my vibe. They'll buy into your vibe when you're Robert Marau. Like when Robert, wherever he goes now, whatever he launches, we're going. But you're not Robert Marau yet. You're not Bonang yet. Nobody knows. So you must be according to what people are living their lives, deliver content. So it's about they are your bosses. So it's not the other way around. They're not gonna come and listen to you. Like what makes you special? Why must they listen to you? They've got their own lives to live. So you must always think about those types of things until or unless you've worked so hard for many years that you built yourself in this big brand that you can decide, ngizoba so bayahlanya bona bazoyenza njenga or bona bazolalela or bona ngizoyenza content eso bazolalela, then you can dictate and do those things. Vele sizokulalela ngoba siyathanda, we follow you. Then you built yourself a brand. But khona manje ngoba nina nisaqala, guys, it's very important to observe the game, observe the industry, and curate your content according to how people are living their lives. Great opportunity to be here. Thank you so much for coming through today on a Saturday. It's just a little bit over bonus time, khona manje. I know Nick runs it from now on. I've already said my piece. I think the last thing I'll say will just be a prayer. That's cool. Thank you. Is Nick here?
Cool. I'm not hearing him. So I think because that is the end of the bonus session, we might actually have a little bit of time to engage just a little bit more. I just want to share a little bit about my experience in the course and actually encourage those listening to really sign up because it'll change your life. You won't know how much you need it until you just go for it. You know, we spend a lot of time on the fence, not really being sure about what we want to do. But this course, I promise you, once you start it, you'll realize that this is where I'm supposed to be. And this is the time that I'm supposed to be where I'm supposed to be. I've got 4 kids, yo. I'm broke. I'm a broke, struggling mama of 4. I'm breastfeeding. I've got nappies to buy. But the one thing that makes me so excited is knowing that I'm in this course and I've got shit to do. I've got tasks to submit. I've got challenges. I need to sit and record and practice links and this and that. Things that I thought would maybe just come naturally. No, baby, it doesn't work like that. You need to sit and plan. So also now you're learning discipline on top of the fact that you're learning Radio 101, on top of the fact that you're meeting amazing people who also want to do amazing things, who want to make the world a better place with you. So go to leadership2020.co.za, find out more about the course, get plugged in, get involved, be passionate and be inspired by what you've experienced today, by the conversations we've had, by the people that you've been introduced to. It's not a joke, you know, it's your life. We know how short life is. COVID is making us realize more and more every day that we're losing people. We're losing people in entertainment, we're losing people everywhere. So while we are here, let us do everything we can to become the best versions of ourselves. Challenge yourself today after this webinar and say, let me see, maybe it's my chance, maybe it's my time. Wandile, my amazing co-host, has a 9-to-5. He's a banker. We are amongst a banker, guys, like Ritseni. You know, we with a banker who loves radio, who's passionate about radio, but still he submits his tasks. He gets shit done. So I encourage you to please try it out. Go and see, you never know where it could take you. That's my piece. Wandi?
Well done, Lebang. Before you hand it over to Wandi, well done, an incredible job, you know. Awesome energy. You've been doing very, very well. I'm so proud of you. You can only get better, you know. If there is a critique that I'll give you is When you are in a broadcasting environment, you don't know who's listening to you. It could be Patrice Motsepe. It could be the president of South Africa driving from the airport to some meeting. And his entourage rushes him into his car. And while they were waiting for him, maybe they were listening to you. And then the president ends up listening to you. You're not even aware the president is listening to you. So the swear words that you use a lot, Lebang, that's not how we roll on radio. We don't swear. I don't swear. I've been taught not to swear. Even if I wanted to swear, you heard what Ayanda MVP did say. When you're on the radio, it's a public platform. You don't swear. You don't swear. You don't get yourself entangled in conversations around religion unless you know your story, what you're going to talk about, and you're going to speak to somebody who's well informed with facts and who's an expert and who comes from a reputable platform or institution. Whether it's a government institution, whatever private institution it is, it must be somebody who's reputable enough or expert enough to speak on those subjects or whatever you're talking about. Maybe it can be politics, or it can be sports, or it can be, we talk about all sorts of different things. But the main things when you are a broadcaster to look out for and make sure that you have to do your thorough homework when you're going to talk about those things, or rather not speak about them at all. Politics and religion. Either stay away from politics and religion, or unless you know what you're talking about, or you're the one that just poses the questions. Because sometimes, like me, I never behave like I'm a know-it-all. A radio person, even if you know the answers or you know certain things, you are informed, you can play a role of just pretending as if I'm asked, so I can always have an expert there and ask them questions and be like, oh, okay. Pretend like you're a fool, maybe is the wrong word. Pretend you're uninformed. There's nothing wrong about you seeming like you're uninformed to your listener, but tell them that but don't be that jock or that presenter whom is clueless, man. So be informed, do research, read, inform yourself, prep for your show. Be so informed that even when you're asking your questions, you're asking good questions. You're coming from an informed perspective. So when you get to ask good questions, you get good answers. And then what Lebang is doing is incredible. You can tell the confidence. She's a broadcaster. She flows. She speaks well. But I don't encourage you guys to swear like her. We don't swear. We don't swear in Leadership 2020. We don't swear on Homegrown Radio. We don't swear on Massive Metro. I've never sworn on YFM. I've never sworn on Metro FM. I've never sworn on Ukozi, Vuma, Gagasi, Rise. I hope Lebang has not sworn on air on Massive Metro and Homegrown Radio. And I encourage her to watch her mouth when she speaks, not only on radio or in the media environment. Wherever you are in your setting, respect other human beings. We all come from different religions, different backgrounds. Other people sort of get turned off by somebody who swears. You might just find out you're a great person, but the fact that people are hearing already a swear word, it's like if my mom was here, or if my girlfriend was here listening to Lebang, she'd be like she'd be shocked with you to God, And I'm not saying I want you to feel bad about it, but I'm saying this as a teacher. I'm using this as a teachable moment for everybody else who's watching. And I want you also, Lebang, to be better, so that when you move along forward, you must always respect a public environment. A public environment is respected by how you carry yourself. It's like even with social media, you don't just write anything. You don't just say stuff. Even if you're not followed by anyone, no one can see. One day, someone will see it, and trust me, you'll become famous and trend for something that you thought nobody was seeing. So homophobia, religions, politics, those are some of the things that you have to be very sure and be well informed if or when you're going to engage about them. It's 12:30 right now. I hope Nick is back, and I hope, Lebang, you've taken a teachable opportunity in this moment, and maybe I can take it over to Andy.
Thank you so much for that, DJ Sbu. I think there's a saying in Sizulu, eti indlela ibuzwa kwabaphambili. Honestly, we are just learning from all of you, and we are grateful for the opportunities at Leadership 2020. I guess Lebang just wanted me to just quickly chat about my experience, with the cause. It's really been amazing. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. When I started, I was afraid when she said that, I work in an 8-to-5 job. So I wasn't sure how am I going to be able to submit all the tasks, and just keep up with the cause. But the support and the family, that is at Leadership 2020 is really amazing. And it has really made it possible for me to really progress, in the cause in a way that I never thought. I think I've completed like 60 to 65% of the course now. And it's just been an amazing experience. And radio, honestly, is just, beyond what I'm doing in the bank, radio is my passion. It's actually where I want to be. So I'm just grateful. That's my journey and my experience so far with the cause. The support is amazing. It's super, super, super amazing. Thank you. I'm grateful.
I'll pick up to you, Andy. Kifilo, I see you. It's been a while. Wow, so nice to see you. Shout outs to Lebang, Wendy, Le. You guys have held it down like incredibly. Since this thing started and you've been holding it down, Lebang, I sit back and it's just proud moments. It's like, wow, these guys literally are handling this entire show. And you guys did a great job. So well done, Wendy. I'm so proud of you. I'm just looking forward to where you guys are going. And then lastly, I want to acknowledge Ubokang Muketi, who's here, Ubonke, Bonolo, Choko. Let me say True. Oh, Chuma is still here. Wow. You see, guys, you must love radio so much, so that you're invited in platforms like these, even when it's done. Chuma is still here. That's how much he loves radio. That's how much I used to hang around at Y. I'd be at YFM like the whole day. Sometimes I'd even used to sleep there because I loved it so much. And being at Y, you can't just sit. Because there's machines and computers, you want to learn how to produce, and that's how great ideas come. And some of the great things we did them because we used to hang around there quite a lot because there was the resources to do to create. So when you love something, you end up just giving it all of your time, even more than what you have to. So Earl Mhlanga, CUL, Esau, Khaone, Hulela, Ishmael, Jack, Karabo, Kifilwe, Katlego, Kensani, Kwena, Leonard, Lisedi, Malwande, Mukhasi, Morrison, Neo, Nomalanga, Ntabeleng. Is this Ntabeleng? Is it? Oh, okay, and then Patudi, Tebogo, Valencia, Wandim Hlongo, and Yvonne Sibanda. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, and congratulations for being introduced to our world. Our world is the world of radio. Our world is a world where we grab brand new talent and we give you guys an interest into this broadcasting world. It's like nathi siyaqhobisa, so siyaqhobisa uyabona nabanye abantwana basemasababisini shemona uziphumelela okushini emasababisini nawuthi uyabona bayadlala lapha ne-swimming pool wena kina kuna-swimming pool kodwa ufuna ukungena ngaphakathi yobajoyina. So that's what this is. So we're giving you a bit of a peek into the industry, and we are saying to you, this can be all yours if you want, only if you want it. It's about how bad you want it. It is there for you guys. It's now easier to do it than ever before because of technology, because of podcasting. It's about your own consistency, your own time, your own energy, you applying yourself, you doing the work. It's all about you. But Tina, that's why we even created this platform for you. All these things we've done as Leadership 2020 over the years, it's just all for our students. From the entrepreneurial workshops that we used to do, encouraging people and helping people to be entrepreneurs, we see them now, they are flourishing in the industry, they're doing well. All of the people that used to attend our seminars, some of them are even doing their own seminars now, who used to work here. I'm seeing Abu Bulelani Balabala, Abu Musiso Mulimi, Abu Theo Batu, Abu Fepo the Chin Maker, Abu Skinny Smooth Socks, Abu Robot Boy, Abu. I look at half of the industry right now, a lot of the people that are doing great, they come from our hands since we've been doing this work since 2013. The ones that are in music, the guys on radio, the entrepreneurs. It makes me happy as I'm getting older. As now I'm 42. In the next couple of years, in 8 years, I'll be 50 of any time and in Cheben Krog. But I think because we can see the fruits of our hard work, and we can see what sense emphakathini because abantu esibabambayo ngezandla zethu sibafundise sibabona bathuthuka rababona batswalela phele mobuphilong. And we want to say to you guys, even you guys, when time comes that you must open doors for others and help other people, please do the same, because that's what we're doing for you. Maybe Nick is here now, ne?
Nick won't be joining us today. You are our Nick for today.
Oh, okay. Maybe we'll wrap it up with a prayer. I mean, I love praying. So ngicela ukuyivala ngomthandazo bantwana basekhaya nginibonge ukuthi nijoine iclass lethu namhlanje. I hope ukuthi nifundile, and I hope you guys are inspired to do better. We're going to have the next one in 2 weeks' time. We'll let you guys know. We're going to have other great people from radio as well, from the industry. People who are in it, who are doing great, who are doing their own things. Or maybe before I close it off with a prayer, besides Lebang Nwandile, is there anyone who would like to ask me any question? Maybe I'll take 3 questions before I close it with a prayer, seeing that you guys are still here. Okay, nobody has got a question. Let me wait for another. Oh, Queen. Let me start with Queen. I can see the hand is up. After Queen, I'll go to Jack. Just open your mic.
Good morning. Good morning, team. Good morning, Leadership 2020. This is the I Was Born to Speak on Radio webinars. I am Koena, but some people might know me as KK, hopefully, if I'm doing the right stuff. But yeah, I want to ask DJ's Boom, and when you started, you see, the Red Revolution. So, man, when you started your business, More Fire, I know you might have partners, but how difficult was it getting funding, or did you have to look to your own savings to start up something like that? Because for me, right, I would like to start a company that makes rolling paper, right? And I'm looking at the equipment requirements and all that stuff. And I see that it's gonna require a lot from me financially to get something like that off the ground. So for you, was it a matter of using your savings and actually going to the bank and asking for loans when you started your business? Or did you opt for funders and selling shares? How did you start it?
All right, cool. Thank you for the question. Maybe because it's not a platform, it's a platform for broadcasting and radio. I know other people who are here, they're here for the radio. Let me listen to what Ulana has to say. Let's give him a chance. And then from there, I'll still answer it. But maybe next time, just know that if the platform is for radio, let's stick to radio. Yeah, but so that other people who are here for radio don't get a bit irritated. But I'm going to answer your question. Let me go straight to Jack Kal. And then Jack, how are you doing?
I'm good and you as Boo. It's Jack from 8FM. You have been here for quite some time. And yeah, I want to ask you, man, because we are in an online radio. When you started the online radio, what was your first thing that you had to work on? That is the first thing that you had to work on in terms of the online radio. And then the other thing in terms of getting the revenue and monetizing your concept, how did you do it? Thank you so much.
You mean monetizing our radio station?
Like in terms of getting the people to advertise, getting money in terms of that, because at that time I remember that you have lost almost everything, and so I've been following you for quite some time. So I wanted to check, how did you do it from the scratch? Because sometimes it might be tough for online radio stations to make money through that.
Okay, so it's a similar question with the previous question. The question, when obviously you just tailor-made it specifically to radio about starting. Obviously, you asked about starting More Fire. You're asking about starting a radio station and making it profitable. So let me start by answering your question. The radio station, luckily, Nicholas, you did hear Chuma when he was explaining, when he joined Metro FM, Unati, no Glenn and Unati. Nick they fired me. When they fired me, they had to fire Nick because, me and Nick were connected. So Nick got fired, but what was beautiful, at least Chuma got in and he got that opportunity. What he was saying, Konamanje, earlier on, Chuma, is, geez, I'm getting absent-minded. Right? Sometimes it's core. That has core, but no fella. So that has core, no fella. So sometimes it's like a suit. But luckily, I had experience. Nick had experience from Metro. Nick had experience from Y. Nick had been working with Fat Joe, with Glenn. Nick has been on radio all his life. We actually met when we were both like 20, 21. Nick was like 23, 24. We're all young, you know? So he's been on radio for like 20 years. So luckily, Leland and I had worked for many different radio stations. So to start Massive Metro, luckily it was two people with radio experience who know how it works, who did not have the money to start it. So what we did was we started a radio show, an independent radio show. Some of you guys will remember maybe 4 years ago, if you would, there used to be a hashtag DJ Spook Breakfast every morning. There used to be a hashtag DJ Spook Breakfast. It was trending every morning when you wake up. That was just our radio show. It was not on any radio station. It was just an independent radio show that we created, myself and Nick. And then what did we do? We went to negotiate with different radio stations. And the radio station, the company that we negotiated with is a company that is called Tiso Black Star. At the time, they were called Times Media. Times Media owns the Business Day, the Sunday Times, Times Live, Sowetan. You know, they own all those publications. They also own about 14 radio stations in the continent. Some of the radio stations are Vuma FM, Rise FM, Northwest FM. They've got all those different platforms, and others are in Ghana, Nigeria, etc. So we kind of felt we need a company like that to partner with. So they do the same business as Prime Media does. So Prime Media is also a media business. Some of you guys would know that Prime Media owns 702, 94.7, EWN News, you know what I mean? And the billboards, Highfield, etc., etc. That is Prime Media. Tiso Black Star, when it was called Times Media, we partnered on our show, just a single show. How did we partner? We did a deal and said, we don't have the money, but we've got the talent and we know how to use the talent, and we've got the following because of Smooth. Smooth has just been fired. He's available. We're creating our own thing. And then we want to partner with you. You guys are a media house. You already have clients existing that are advertising on all your different newspapers or your different companies. You already have resources. You are a big company. You already have studios that we can work from. Their studios, luckily, they were empty at the time. Nobody was using the studios. So it was a beautiful partnership made in heaven. We just had to utilize those studios, got into a deal, a 60-40 deal, where they take 60%, we take 40%, and then they finance the show. Financing the show means they pay me, they pay my producer, they pay my videographers, they pay my researcher, they pay the technical producer. So they were literally paying my team of about 10 people. When we're all together, it was 10 of us. That was called the DJ Spook Breakfast. And because they own radio stations, we negotiated to syndicate. In South Africa, it was not popular at the time to syndicate a radio show into different radio stations. So we syndicated my breakfast show to Rise FM in Mpumalanga. We used to be live there every morning on the breakfast show. The same breakfast show is also live on Vuma FM, a KZN. We're also live on Soweto TV. We're live on Bay TV. We're live on different platforms all at once. How did we monetize it? We monetized it by getting the business partners that were with a Times Media to send their sales team or to engage their current clients to say, here's a show that we have. These are the numbers that they're doing. This is what they're doing on social media. The personality that's presenting it is DJ Spook. He's a brand, and this is what we have to offer. This is what we have for you guys. You can spend on. Luckily, we did really well with advertising. I think that's the reason why, or that's what led to us eventually making it bigger, because the one show was doing so well consistently over a period of almost a year that we decided to grow it. And then when other partners came on board who were even more interested to grow this one show into a radio station, that was the birth of Massive Metro. Massive Metro was funded by a company called Business Partners. They're a funding institution. They loaned us money, so we still owe them. They loaned us a couple of millions. We still owe them. And then COVID came. So when COVID came, we didn't plan for it. It was bad for all of us, but we had planned for these times. Like, that's what Massive Metro was created for. It was a digital platform. So because the times have evolved and it's no longer the back in the days where radio relies on only spot advertising or live reads or just interviews, because that's how you make money on radio, through advertising. But then now you've got more to offer. What do you have more to offer? You can get your presenters going to the taxi ranks and speaking to the clients. So the customers advertising, they can get that value. With our presenters, go to the taxi ranks, they can go activate your brand and speak to the clients. Our presenters use social media. But radio was not how it is. We actually innovated to how it is now. What you're seeing now, where everybody's on social media, on their cameras, when they're on radio, it's now become normal. We were the first people to do that, to start that. Nobody was doing that at the time. We were the first ones to sell that package of social media plus radio to the clients. So that's how we would make money. Make money off advertising, make money off sponsorships, make money off YouTube, make money off our website, banners there, advertising on our website, make money off being out there in the field, engaging the brand, whoever is advertising on the radio station, taking their brand, linking it with our personalities, taking it to the streets. They pay for that as well. And they also had an opportunity to spend on our, we've got about 40 taxi ranks in Gauteng with big screens that belong to Massive Metro. Those screens, there's content that is being advertised there. So that's also another opportunity for our clients to advertise, an opportunity to also pay an extra fee a little bit to our presenters, and you can use them as influencers. So those are all the different ways in how you can exploit a radio platform and make money out of it. So there's more money to make now than ever, because now people are online. So you can exploit a radio station by making sure you create good content, that that content lives on your website, and then you can distribute it to different platforms like YouTube, and YouTube buy patala for the content. As I've already made you an example, Kave is getting a very good amount of money every month from YouTube. Let me tell you, let me not tell you how much money Kave is making. Maybe it's still too soon, it's none of my business. But yeah, there's good money to be made. But it takes a while though, to get it right and start getting your listeners sticking. And then you can take that audience and sell it to the clients, and then clients are willing to pay for it. That's how radio stations make money. How we started Mofire in the beginning was, luckily because I was in the entertainment industry, so I was exposed to, just like your favorite DJs and musicians, you see they're exposed to thousands of audiences every weekend. It was the same as me. I was exposed to that audience every weekend as a DJ, traveling all the time. I kind of felt, because I'm exposed in these platforms, because I'm playing in clubs, I'm playing in parties, it only makes sense to have an energy drink brand. Energy drink brand, because I'm also on the road, I'm out there. Why not we do a brand that speaks to that? Energy, traveling, So it was a no-brainer to start an energy drink. Why was it a no-brainer? Because my business partner that we started the energy drink with had already started one before. He sold the other brand, and then we became partners to start this brand. The brand is locally manufactured. The brand is made in Heidelberg. The brand is made, in the beginning, we did not have a lot of money, so we did not spend too much on great design for our cans. Our cans now look beautiful. You can see the design is all professional nowadays, but it didn't start like this. Look at how nice it is. It's black on top. It's such a cool can. The packaging is so dope. You can see the professionalism that went into it, and that takes a lot of money. But this is now. It didn't start like this. In the beginning, when you start, you don't have the amount of money that you wish you would have to do or launch in a manner which you would like to. But what we did was we sort of had a soft launch. And when we did a soft launch, we did what we could afford, and we printed enough stock that we could afford in the beginning. But in the beginning, depending on whatever product you want to create, you have to do thorough research. You must know where you're going to get the raw materials to create your product. You must know where you're going to get the raw ingredients to create the products, where you're going to get the packaging, who's going to do it for you, how much are they charging, how far are they from where you are, if they are far, how long are they going to take to deliver the ingredients or deliver the packaging, how long does it get ready, the product itself as well. Who's going to create the product? Is it you who's going to be doing it at the back of your house? Or are you going to be doing it at some factory somewhere? How much are they going to charge you? How much are they going to make when they charge you per hour, for 2 hours, for a day, for a week, or every time when they create? How many can they create? What if you get a big order from a big company? Will they be able to follow through those orders and create that much stock that is enough for you to be able to supply? Is there a market for you to go sell to out there? How are you going to market your brand? who are you going to market it to? If you've got a marketing strategy, what is it? How are you going to implement it? Who's going to help you? Where are you going to get the money to get started? So those are all the questions you need to ask yourself and more. So if you're about to jump into creating a product, creating a business, starting a radio station, starting anything, those are some of the critical questions you need to ask yourself if you're a startup. And once you have that product, now it's done, it's ready, it's in your hands. Now it's time to go and sell it. Are you now gonna make the same mistakes that we made? We made mistakes by taking 3 years to keep knocking on Pick and Pay, knocking at OK, to keep knocking. What are these guys? Spar, to keep knocking. We kept on knocking. But if I knew now, if I knew then what I know now, instead of knocking and begging them to have our product on their shelves, I could have done what we did on our 3rd year from the beginning. I could have done that from the beginning. So we only started selling it in the streets when we could see what we did not have any other choice. Nobody could have us on these shelves. Nobody could have us. It was so difficult. And other people would ask, like, why is it so difficult? There's red tapes, and the red tape sometimes they make it expensive for you to get in there. There's different requirements that they need. Remember, guys, those are corporate companies that are highly, very professional, and they're highly regulated because those are the things that get eaten by people. So people are very, very strict when it comes to anything that is to do with food and beverages. So they are strict also with the products that come into the market, because a lot of them come into the market and they don't make it. So Pick and Pay can give you a shelf, and then your product does well, but you don't have enough money to create more stock, to deliver on time, to supply them on time. And then now customer and that's what Pick and Pay and them are trying to avoid, by not having people like us there. But also we do know there were other reasons back in the day. But what I love about what's happening right now in 2021, there is transformation that is happening in a lot of these companies. They're starting to see that it's time for them to embrace Black-owned businesses. It's time for them to help young entrepreneurs. It's time for them to incubate small businesses. And I think they're starting to be more accepting and more open to be, and who are one of the people who are voicing out that fight, who are very vocal in that fight of having the system open up for us. Now, mind you, it's still tough, but we still continue to fight on as small businesses. But I'm glad with now the voices have been amplified. Sbaningi, who are on this small business journey, who are on this Black-owned business journey. So that's how you start in the beginning. Good, depending on what to namalini, but it does cost money. It does take a cost you to sacrifice or save money. And sometimes I'm going to tell you in the beginning. We've never been lucky in raising funding. We've been to more than 11 institutions asking for funding. We've never been lucky. So we've always had to keep turning the money. Turning the money means whatever we make from it, we keep throwing it back. We never paid ourselves. I only started getting paid from More Fire last year, end of 2019, going into 2020. Yeah. That's when I only started getting paid. All the money that we make on More Fire, like 98% of the money we make back into the business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. I also want to ask another question.
Let's give another one a chance.
Oh.
And then maybe we can wrap it up. Sorry, guys, we've been speaking too much. We'll close it now at 1 o'clock. But when I'm going to see you next week, I'm coming back to Joburg, so I'll see you at the farm.
Yes, definitely.
Let me see who else is here. Maybe let me take one last question before. Okay, there's Bonke. Bonke, you can come through, bro.
What is good? Bonke Mzolo back here for I Was Born to Speak on radio. The time is 5 to 1 p.m. Grootmane, I just have one question for you. As a person who's been following your journey, I watched how you got fired at the commercial radio station. I just wanted to know, did that sort of affect how the other stations viewed you? Did they sort of distance themselves after you got fired? Or is it a matter of, that type of situation?
It's a good question. So you guys as broadcasters, you want to build yourself to be known to be good in what you do. So if your job is to produce, or is to write scripts, or is to write ads, or is to read news, or is to be on the mic and broadcast, or is to DJ on the decks, you want to be as good at it as you can. You want to spend as many hours on it as you can. Mina Lamanje, like I still have always next to me. You can see the decks are always next to me, I'm always like, my mofile is always next to me. My decks are always, like I always say, aliki socha elimpini without his pamsa. Now you saw his pamsa like you know, so you must work at it so many times, so often, and you must be so passionate about it such that you become so good. When you become so good, that's when you become like Ntabeleng, when you start getting calls, or you start becoming like Ayanda MVP. You start getting invited to come and join Highfield. So you get invited because somebody's noticing your skill. That's why I always say somebody's always listening. It can be the president who's listening. Meanwhile, when you're busy running on air or saying your own things and you don't even know who's listening, you never know who's listening. So that's how people get hired. They get hired because somebody is listening. In my case, I would get poached. Getting poached means getting recruited. So I got recruited to Ukozi after I had been fired at Y. And then I got recruited to Y well, after I just joined Ukozi for about a year or two. And then Y wanted me back. And then I got recruited to Metro. And then the last time when they fired me, you need to remember the reasons for firing were not because I'm now stale on air, saying Bora, I'm not good at what I do. They didn't fire me for that. They fired me for advertising more fire on stage at the Metro FM Awards. They did not fire me because my ratings were dropping, I'm not good on air, no. So after getting fired, I did get some offers, yes. So I got an offer for, the first offer I got was it Kaya FM? Kaya or Power? I don't remember, it was Kaya or Power. That's the first offer that I got. I got 3 offers. The second offer was a radio station in the north. And then the third offer was the same one I was telling you about from Times Media. And that's when I was like, instead of me working for you, this is how I would like for us to do it. I can create my show and we can syndicate it on your radio station. So that's how I handled it. But you create value and then other people start seeing their value and then they want you. So that's what happened to me. They could have fired me and nobody could have offered me anything, but I was still hot. I was still DJ Smooth. I was still gonna be able to create and do something of my own somehow. It's like Robert Marawa right now. He's a Robert Marawa. Obviously, he's gonna be successful. Wherever he goes, whatever he's going to do, we're going to follow him. He's going to succeed because now he's Robert Marawa. He's built a brand, he's built value. People are willing to go with him wherever he goes. So you guys must start building that value right now.
Last thing, Rotmani,
let's go to the last one. Hi, that's the chance. Let me go to Thames. Thames has been holding. When I'll see you at the farm again next week. Let me go to Thames.
Thank you, DJ's Blue. It's Aurora, and here on I was born to speak. It's just 1 minute to
Hey, son, the sound. It's called.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay. All right, thank you. DJ's Blue, I just wanted to ask, like, moving from different radio stations to where you are now, like, how does one get to get knocked out and then for a while and then gets back up on their feet and then they stay, like, what's the focus? Like, what do you do? Do you use several meditations? Are you maybe enrolled in a mentorship that helps you to get focused? Like, what do you do to stay on one thing and keep at it, even if things are not going well, but then you still keep on doing it? Like, you have the discipline and the consistency in doing it even when it's not working. Like, how do you get to do that?
That's a very good question. I know, guys, it's not easy for a lot of you guys. You know, there's lots of distractions. You're at home, and in a new, you're still young, you're still starting out, and there's lots of different voices. And you are also in a position where the stomach also wants money. So you're torn between what you really love and having to pay the bills. You know, sometimes we end up in number 6-9 because funding you to pay the bill somehow. So you have to pay the bill somehow. So I always say, okay, what you do is choose in doing one you are. I know you hear that quite a lot, but you have to choose into encanywa. When you choose into encanywa, meaning you're choosing what you love, it means that even when it's difficult, you'll be able to pull through because this is what you love. You love doing it. It's like, hello? Guys, please mute your mics. Let's see, mute your mics. Okay, cool. Thank you. You know, so so that even if you just love this thing, you're in love with it. So you want to keep going and keep doing it. But while you are choosing that, you have to be smart, guys, with your hustle. Think, okay, will this thing pay me now? If it's something like, let's say, radio or music, something that you have to work on and you don't know when it's going to pay you, you have to find a way in making money so that while you are chasing this dream, because do you know what I mean? So you're chasing this thing. Let's say it's music. Totally hit. Totally team you are not again industry. And I was going to it's the same radio. Now saying ama-course kanje usaqala usafunda usafuna ukungena kwamele kube nenye into eceleni ukuthi lethi imali unless you are blessed enough to have a family that can support you in that period. Unfortunately, they won't support you long enough because if nothing happens for the next 3, 4, 5 years, they might end up getting pissed off and they're like, hey, lento yakho yabona ukuthi ngathi ayisebenzi, and then maybe now your girlfriend is pregnant, or maybe not, you know what I mean? You've got bills to pay. So hustle smart. Hustling smart means open a side hustle as well as money while you are pursuing this thing. Because I was good to this thing is it might open up this year, it might open up next year, but it might open up in 2025. But what are you going to make a living with in the meantime? That's why I encourage you guys get to hustle, even if it's not really a job, but something can be a thing is, you know, come to see keeper, things some market piece, things some hoodie, things some win, things some coat, things some tegi, things spins. You don't even have to have your own products as well. Sometimes just learn how to make money online. Some people are doing forex trading. Some people are buying crypto and investing in it and learning about it. Some people are making other ways. There's other ways of making money on the internet, being an affiliate marketer for companies like Amazon, AliExpress, ClickBank. There's just so many opportunities online to make money now. So in the meantime, learn how to make money while you're pursuing this radio dream. That can be my advice. And then maybe let me take the last one before you wrap it up. So maybe let me close it. It's 1 o'clock now. Yeah, no, time is over. Let me pray and then we'll be out. Thank you so much, thank you so much for tuning in. I really wish you guys a great future. Just stay in that prayer. Keep on practicing your art. Keep on putting your work on your craft. Kuzolunga one day. And one day you will remind me, but hey, big homie, this is me, remember me, you know? So I wish you guys all the best. And before we close it, let's maybe close our eyes and pray. Let me ask for, who can pray? By the show of hands, who can pray? I was gonna pray, but let me just give it to you guys to pray. Who's gonna pray? Or Yvonne is raising her hand. Okay, Yvonne, let's go ahead. You can pray for us. Yvonne Sibanda Mateko, you can just unmute yourself and please pray for us. Yvonne doesn't want to pray. Okay, let's go to Tebucho. Tebza.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's close our eyes. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this Leadership 2020. We thank you, Father, for the great speakers. We thank you, Father, for the great pioneers that, Father, are opening doors and leading us, Father, into this radio business and radio industry. Father, we declare and we decree that you bless each and every one of us who have attended the seminars. Father, keep on keeping on and bless those, Father, who open the doors and keep them strong, Father, at what they do so that they can be able to do better for others. help each and everyone, Father. And you know that our heart desires, you know everything that we want, Lord. Father, also keep on doing great things, and also, Father, bless us with ideas, and also, Lord, help us with patience so that we can be able to stay in, and so that we can be able to stay in it for it, and also that, Father, we may be able to also help other people that are going to journey in with us. Father, we thank you for all the radio presenters and each and everyone that is here. Bless them, Lord. Keep on doing good things for us. And we thank you, Father, for your grace and your mercy that enables us to live every single day and doing what we're doing. Father, please bless our hustle that we may be able to do what we've always wanted to do. We thank you, Lord Jesus. We thank you, Abba Father. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Have a good weekend. Ne? Thank you so much for tuning in.
Amen.
Oi, oi. Thank you.
Bonge mina.